Chapter 3090. The Powerful Dong Men Hong. I've long heard of Senior Brother Lin's name. However, at that moment, a chuckle was heard. A few figures with extraordinary auras walked over slowly from afar. The leader had his hands behind his back. He had a friendly smile on his face, but there was a hint of coldness in his eyes. Dong Men Hong. Many people's eyes lit up when they saw the young man in the lead. He was a genius at the level of Tantric Buddhism. Furthermore, he was ranked second in the entire Tantric Buddhism. He was also an important figure who could shake the entire spirit state. In the past, many people would give face to Dong Men Hong and allow him to be ranked only below the four heavenly kings. However, Lin Ling had appeared out of nowhere. In many people's hearts, Lin Ling's potential was stronger than Dong Men Hong's. Dong Men Hong, what's the matter? The Tantric Buddhism master suddenly asked. This made Dong Men Hong frown. In the past, the Tantric Buddhism master would always smile when he saw him. However, this time, the Tantric Buddhism master seemed to be reprimanding him. This attitude made him unhappy instantly. This was because he knew that the Tantric Buddhism master was acting this way because of Lin Ling. Tantric Buddhism master, it's nothing. I've heard of Senior Brother Lin's name for a long time, so I'd like to spar with him. Dong Men Hong went straight to the point in an overbearing manner. What? Tantric Buddhism master was shocked. No one expected Dong Men Hong to make such a request. Could it be that Senior Brother Dong Men is envious of Lin Ling's treatment? I think so. After all, Senior Brother Dong Men is ranked second in Tantric Buddhism. He has won endless glory for Tantric Buddhism. On the other hand, Lin Ling has only been famous for a short period of time, but he's more valued than Senior Brother Dong Men. Senior Brother Dong Men definitely won't be able to take it lying down. However, Senior Brother Dong Men is a fourth heaven half-saint. He also has a powerful third-grade desolate body. His ultimate martial Dao foundation is also deep. How can Senior Brother Lin be his match? People began to discuss animatedly. Dong Men Hong, you're being ridiculous. The Tantric Buddhism master frowned and reprimanded. Tantric Buddhism master, may I ask what right do men have to walk the world? Buddhism master, may I ask what is the universe chaos world? Lord Tantric Buddhism, may I ask, if a martial artist has decay in his heart, how would he face it? Dong Men Hong took a step forward and looked at the master of Tantra fearlessly. The entire Tantric sect fell silent. The Tantric Sama frowned even harder. Martial artists rely on their strength to traverse the world. In this chaotic universe, strength is everything. If a martial artist has something in his heart, he must face it head-on. Right now, Lin Ling is the person in my heart. I, Dong Men Hong, am open and honest. I will say whatever comes to my mind. If I have been rude, please forgive me, Master Tantric sect. Dong Men Hong's voice was like thunder, powerful and resonant. However, as soon as he finished speaking, the hearts of many people in the Tantric sect surged. Although Dong Men Hong was a little overbearing, it was undeniable that his words made sense. If a cultivator had misgivings and was afraid of everything, how would they be able to leave the 9 prefectures? I don't agree to your conditions. The Tantric swordsman said coldly. He still did not agree to Dong Men Hong's request. I quit Tantric Buddhism. However, Dong Men Hong refused to back down and refused to back down. At this moment, the Tantric swordsman's expression changed drastically. Dong Men Hong was the future of Tantric Buddhism. Tantric Buddhism had given him countless resources to nurture. If he quit Tantric Buddhism, it would undoubtedly be a huge loss to Tantric Buddhism. This also made the Tantric swordsman fall silent. Seeing this, Dong Men Hong's lips curled into a smile. He knew that the Tantric swordsman would not dare to reject his request. His gaze also began to look at Lin Ling. Lin Ling's expression was calm as he looked at Dong Men Hong calmly. In the beginning, he did not know why Dongman Hong was targeting him. However, he now knew that it was because of jealousy. Senior brother Lin, since you're my senior brother, do you dare to accept my challenge? Dongman Hong took a step forward and said calmly. However, he became even more aggressive. Moreover, according to seniority, he was actually Lin Ling's senior brother. However, he did not address himself as senior brother. This was to force Lin Ling to accept the challenge. One had to admit that although this person looked arrogant, he was also very meticulous. How can he accept the challenge? Senior brother Lin can defeat senior brother Chiu. However, senior brother Dongman is not like senior brother Chiu. He's a fourth stage half-saint. Senior brother Lin's ability to fight above his level is very strong. However, it's impossible for him to defeat a fourth stage half-saint. That's right. If senior brother Lin was a first stage half-saint, I would think highly of him. In fact, if he was given more time, I would think highly of him too. However, senior brother Lin is still a little weak now. Although the crowd was looking forward to this battle, they also felt that it was a little unfair. Only a coward would not accept the challenge. Of course, there were those who admired Lin Ling naturally, there were also those who were jealous of Lin Ling. Therefore, they sneered harshly. Since you're so powerful, why don't you come? However, those who admired Lin Ling did not back down and retaliated. The entire Tantric Buddhism was like boiling water. The battle between the peerless genius Lin Ling and the second peerless genius of Tantric Buddhism had undoubtedly become the focus of Tantric Buddhism. I'll admit defeat on his behalf. However, at this moment, a faint voice suddenly rang out. It was Xing Shiyun. He obviously knew how powerful Dongman Hong was. He also knew that Dongman Hong had defeated half of the 7th stage half-saints before. He was a true genius. In the entire vast spirit state, there were only 3 rising stars who could compete with him. The spirit state was ranked 4th in the entire 9 states. Below it were the 5 divine lands. Therefore, to be able to rise in the spirit state, he was naturally not weak. Admit defeat? Dongman Hong smiled faintly, and his voice became longer. It was as if he wanted to let everyone in Tantric Buddhism know that Lin Ling was just as so. He was not worthy of all the elders of Tantric Buddhism to welcome him. That's right, I'll admit defeat on his behalf. Xing Shiyun was expressionless. Although he was angry at Dongman Hong's rudeness, he still had to give face to the Lord of Tantric Buddhism. Admit defeat? Dongman Hong dragged out his tone again. His tone was laced with sarcasm. If you want to fight, I'll accompany you. However, at this moment, Lin Ling also spoke. His words caused Xing Shiyun and the other elders' expressions to change. Because they had never thought that Lin Ling was Dongman Hong's match. You're brave. Senior brother Lin, I know you're not weak. However, do you know who you're talking to? Dongman Hong smiled faintly. Outside his body, a terrifying amount of boundary essence exploded. Rumble. The entire Tantric Buddhism shook. Those who were not at the 5th stage of the half-saint realm felt as if they were being suppressed by a huge mountain. Because there was indeed a huge ancient green mountain crashing down from the sky. The strength of this power was comparable to the ancient power. Do you know who you're talking to? Dongman Hong obviously wanted to let everyone know the difference between him and Lin Ling. He raised his right hand high up and an ancient black stone pagoda floated out. It was as if it was suppressing the entire spirit state. Black light shot into the sky. It was as if the Kurishin bloodline had arrived. 5th grade extreme weapon, Mountain Sea Blunt Pagoda. At this moment, the Lord of Tantric Buddhism also spoke. His voice was filled with seriousness. Is this the treasure that defeated all the geniuses in the spirit state and finally ruled over the 4 continents? Chapter 3091. He accepted the challenge. I heard that such a terrifying treasure was obtained by senior brother Dongmen in a miracle. Everyone looked at the sky in fear. Dark clouds were rolling as if a god had returned. Rumble. However, this was not the end. Endless black light began to envelop the spirit state, turning the entire plane into night. What's happening? Why did it suddenly become night? Looks like this is the doing of an expert. Tisk Tsk, the spirit state is ranked 4th in the 9 states. To be able to change the climate of the spirit state, this method is truly impressive. In every corner of the spirit state, countless warriors looked at the sky in awe. They knew that an earth-shattering battle must have occurred at the peak of the spirit state. This is my talent, the 100 Great Bloodline, the Kurishin talent, a 3rd grade desolate body. At this moment, Dongmen Hong opened his arms and hugged the sky. Endless black light spewed out from behind him with the power to destroy everything. Unseal, 3rd seal. Furthermore, Dongmen Hong did not stop using his trump cards. His true god martial soul began to unseal, and his rank power reached 50%. With a terrifying desolate body and an extreme weapon in his hand, coupled with the strength of a mid-stage half-saint, he was the second genius of the Tantric sect. How terrifying! At this moment, everyone finally knew how strong Dongmen Hong was. They even knew that Dongmen Hong had purposely used his strength to prove himself and suppress Lin Ling. Of course, even if they knew Dongmen Hong's intentions, what could they do? This was because Dongmen Hong was indeed very strong. Between Dongmen Hong and Lin Ling, they were simply on 2 different levels. Although Lin Ling's ability to fight above his level was very strong, Dongmen Hong was twice as strong as Lin Ling. A miracle could not happen again. I'll admit defeat for him in this battle. Xing Xian knew this as well, which was why he shouted loudly. Dongmen Hong, Lin Ling admits defeat. The Tantric sect leader frowned and also spoke. He knew that Dongmen Hong wanted respect, and he had given it to him. Of course, he was furious in his heart as well. Because Dongmen Hong had obtained this respect by stepping on Lin Ling, and Lin Ling hadn't offended him at all since the beginning. Admit defeat? Dongmen Hong took in everyone's gazes. At that moment, he was elated. He wanted the Tantric sect to know who the true genius was. Lin Ling, this rising star, wanted to seize his honor. That was a dream. Sure. Wherever I am, Lin Ling will avoid me. Dongmen Hong said faintly, also, go to Longyang and apologize to her. He made his request. These demands were undoubtedly a deep humiliation to Lin Ling. It could even be said that they had gone too far. Xing Xiaoyun had already represented Lin Ling taking a step back. Dongmen Hong should know when to stop, but he wasn't willing to give up so easily. Dongmen Hong, don't use red on 3 colors. Hearing that, the Tantric master was furious. If you refuse, I will leave. Today, if there is Lin Ling, then there is no me. However, Dongmen Hong looked at the Tantric master fearlessly. The Tantric master's eyes narrowed, and he found it difficult to choose. Lin Ling and Dongmen Hong were both the geniuses that the Tantric sect valued the most. They were also the future sages of the spirit state. He didn't want to lose either of them. Since you want to embarrass yourself, then let's fight. Lin Ling glanced at his master and the Tantric master. He knew that they were in a difficult position, so he finally walked out. He didn't have any opinions about his master and the Tantric master. Instead, he was grateful that they kept speaking up for him. However, some things were targeted at him, so he had to solve it himself. Lin Ling, take this. The master of Tantric Buddhism also knew that this battle was unavoidable, so he pulled out the sword at his waist. This was a Tier 5 supreme weapon called the Crimson Cloud Pearl Sword. According to legend, when this sword was slashed out, crimson clouds would surge, and it could split the vast spirit state into 2. It was a divine sword. Of course, this divine sword was weaker than the extreme weapon in Dongmen Hong's hands. After all, the latter's extreme weapon came from the era of the gods. No need, I don't need it. However, when everyone thought that Lin Ling would accept the sword, Lin Ling rejected it. I don't need it. Without the protection of the extreme weapon, Lin Ling's innate ability was obviously weaker. If it were me, I definitely wouldn't give up on that sword. After all, senior brother Dongmen's cultivation level is higher and he has a powerful extreme weapon. It's not embarrassing for senior brother Lin to borrow his sword. Yeah, but maybe senior brother Lin thinks that even if he has the divine sword, he can't win against senior brother Dongmen. That's why he rejected it. Without a doubt, the tantric sect was in an uproar. At this moment, more people thought that Lin Ling would definitely lose. Sigh. The tantric master let out a long sigh as if he was regretful that he couldn't help Lin Ling. That long sigh warmed Lin Ling's heart. He knew that the tantric master was on his side. Senior brother Lin, it seems that you've given up. However, at least you know your limits. Dongmen Hong looked at Lin Ling with a proud smile on his face. He didn't even use his extreme weapon. If that wasn't giving up, then what was? Senior brother Dongmen, I have no enmity with you, but you are so aggressive. You even think that you can return with a great victory. You think too highly of yourself. Lin Ling smiled as well. His smile was mysterious. You want to embarrass me. You want to step on me so that the tantric sect will take you seriously. I'm sorry to tell you that you've chosen the wrong person. The tantric sect fell silent when they heard his voice. Everyone's eyes sparkled. Could it be that senior brother Lin was confident that he could defeat Dongmen Hong? If it were anyone else, they wouldn't believe it. However, Lin Ling was different. He was the son of miracles. Even Xing Shiyun was the same. His eyes were burning. He and the tantric master looked at each other and saw the excitement in each other's eyes. If Lin Ling could defeat the second-ranked genius of the tantric sect, then how terrifying would Lin Ling be? After all, Lin Ling hadn't even been in the spirit state for 10 years. With such speed of growth, it was possible that he could become the #1 genius in the spirit state. Shameless boasting. Dongmen Hong's eyes were filled with disdain when he heard Lin Ling's words. At the same time, more and more geniuses of the tantric sect arrived. All of them were filled with anticipation. Many of them had never sparred with Lin Ling before. They were more or less envious of Lin Ling's rise. However, they could now clearly see Lin Ling's strength. Moreover, Lin Ling had returned. It was one thing if he didn't fight, but the first battle he fought was against the second peerless genius of the Tantra sect. This kind of rapid improvement shocked them. Kurishin. At that moment, Dongmen Hong roared, the sky of the spirit state is not that easy to reach. Rumble. The terrifying giant mountain suppressed the heavens and the earth. The ground beneath Lin Ling's feet instantly cracked. His entire body was bent over from the pressure. You can't even block my first attack. I don't understand where you get your confidence from. Dongmen Hong laughed maniacally. He thought that Lin Ling was pretending to be weak and had hidden some trump cards. However, it seemed like that was all there was to it. Chapter 3092. Illusion God True Inheritance, 100 Moves. As for whether Lin Ling could win or not, she believed that Lin Ling would lose without a doubt. However, she never thought that Lin Ling would actually possess the inheritance of the dragon god. And she was Longyang, who also had the secrets of the dragon race, so she could sense the changes in Lin Ling's body. I, Lin Ling, am not even afraid of the sky of the 9 states, let alone the sky of the spirit state. Ka ka ka. But at this time, a crisp sound rang out. Lin Ling, who had been suppressed by the universal divine mountain, quietly straightened his back. He was like a giant whose head touched the sky and feet stepped on the ground. Tantric Buddhism was in an uproar. Dongmen Hong's expression changed slightly. For a martial immortal to block one of his trump cards, it was indeed impressive. That's all. However, Dongmen Hong wasn't as weak as he had imagined. He summoned the Mountain Sea Blunt Pagoda from the sky and unlocked the third seal of the true God martial spirit. The spirit province instantly split open. The experts of Tantric Buddhism left the valley one after another, trembling in fear. They knew that it would be very difficult for Lin Ling to win this battle. In a tit-for-tat confrontation, Lin Ling would most likely lose. Of course, although Lin Ling would lose, what was certain was that this battle would be extremely intense. But at this time, Lin Ling smiled. Invisible soul force drifted out from his ears, sweeping through everything within 100 meters. 100 moves. Lin Ling let out a low shout. Then, he took a step forward and floated into the distance. Rumble. At this moment, Dongmen Hong seemed to have gone mad. He was crazily suppressing the ground and laughing wildly. The peerless genius Lin Ling. What? You didn't even resist. Come, fight me. After defeating me, you will stand at the peak of the spirit province and become one of the 4 supreme geniuses. Ha ha ha, die. In Dongmen Hong's eyes, Lin Ling had been suppressed by his powerful means. He was lying on the ground, barely breathing. He even saw Lin Ling, who was on the verge of death, looking at him with a gaze filled with deep reverence. Lin Ling was scared. Lin Ling was easily defeated by him. Ha ha ha, among the geniuses of Tantra, only one person is above me. You, Lin Ling, are still too inexperienced. Let me step on you. Dongmen Hong continued to laugh. He walked forward until he was right in front of Lin Ling, who was on the verge of death. His foot continued to stomp down, and with each stomp, he laughed proudly. However, everyone was stunned. Xing Xian frowned. The Tantric Sama's mouth was wide open. That was because in their eyes, Dongmen Hong seemed to have gone mad. Lin Ling was in another direction, and Dongmen Hong wasn't fighting with him. Instead, he was constantly stomping on the ground. As he stomped on the ground, he spoke nonsense. No one knew what he was doing. Illusion God True Inheritance. Among everyone, only the 3 sons of the Qi clan reacted. Their bodies continued to tremble. An illusion. Dongmen Hong was confused by the illusion. Lin Ling had his hands behind his back. He looked at the crazy Dongmen Hong with disdain and shook his head mockingly. Dongmen Hong's methods are unparalleled. Unfortunately, his ultimate martial Tao is too weak. Furthermore, he doesn't have soul power. How can he see through the first level of my illusion God True Inheritance, 100 moves? In fact, Dongmen Hong was indeed very strong. However, if Lin Ling really used his trump card, he might not lose to him. At most, it would be a draw. However, after using a soul martial art, Lin Ling easily suppressed his opponent. Unless his opponent's cultivation was higher, he could use brute force to break through it. However, that kind of force would definitely be able to break through the power of the spirit province. Apart from that, it would depend on soul power. If one's soul power was only 1,000 levels weaker than Lin Ling's, then they could still see through it. As for the others, they acted as usual. This was because Lin Ling's 100 moves was only used to target Dongmen Hong. Then, Lin Ling walked forward with his hands behind his back. He looked very calm. Everyone watched as Lin Ling walked towards Dongmen Hong and stood behind him. However, Dongmen Hong continued to step on the ground like a madman and continued to laugh. What's going on? I don't know. Perhaps senior brother Dongmen's old injuries suddenly acted up, so his mind is not clear. That means that senior brother Lin has won. The tantric sect's people were all confused. Break. At this moment, Lin Ling, who was standing behind Dong Men Hong, said calmly. Gotcha. In Dong Men Hong's eyes, the illusion of Lin Ling was finally trampled to death by him. This stunned him for a moment before he laughed excitedly. The tantric sect's peerless genius was actually trampled to death. This kind of death will make all the warriors in the spirit province laugh their heads off. Everyone, look. This is the peerless genius that you were talking about. You've all been deceived. After laughing, Dong Men Hong looked at the crowd. However, everyone looked at Dong Men Hong strangely. Not long after, someone said softly, "It seems that senior brother Dong Men has gone mad. This is not because he's not clear-headed at all." Those words made Dong Men Hong confused. He quickly looked at the tantric sect's master. Dong Men Hong, what are you doing? The tantric sect's master frowned and asked. I've defeated Lin Ling. Moreover, I've killed him and removed his cowardly mask. Dong Men Hong lifted his chest and said proudly. But look behind you. The tantric sect's master frowned even more. He also thought that Dong Men Hong had gone mad. With Dong Men Hong's strength, it was impossible for him to not be able to see if someone was dead. Oh. Dong Men Hong smiled proudly and slowly turned around. Clang! Just as he turned around, a shiny sword landed on his neck. At the same time, a calm voice floated out. You've lost. The sword, the voice, and the person behind him made Dong Men Hong dumbfounded. Who else could it be but Lin Ling? Impossible, impossible. I clearly stomped you to death. How could you still be alive? Next, Dong Men Hong screamed as though he had seen a ghost. His voice was hysterical. It made people feel that he had really gone mad. It seems like he's seriously ill. That's normal. A warrior's cultivation is to seize fate from the heavens. Dong Men Hong must have cultivated some forbidden techniques to be able to become the second peerless genius of the tantric sect, causing him to go mad. What a pity for such a genius. He's a mad genius. Many people in the tantric sect shook their heads and sighed. Those voices made Dong Men Hong's expression change drastically. Had he gone mad? He looked at the pitiful crowd and then looked at Lin Ling in front of him. At a certain moment, he also thought that he had gone mad. But soon, he kept shaking his head. Impossible, this is definitely impossible. He instantly floated back and attacked again in disbelief. Lin Ling, die. Stubborn. Lin Ling's eyes flashed with disdain and coldness. He activated the 100 moves again and the illusion god's true inheritance appeared. Then, he walked calmly and slowly away. Dong Men Hong laughed maniacally again. He activated various techniques to suppress the illusion of Lin Ling in his eyes. This left everyone dumbfounded. Heavens! What did they just see? Chapter 3093. A Stray Dog. I'll stomp you to death. This time, you can still live. I'll stomp you to death. Everyone could even hear the crazed screams. Alas! Everyone sighed even louder. It seems that senior brother Dongman's insanity is getting worse. Yeah, I thought that with the aura of a sage, I would be a sage and break away from the category of mortals. However, sages can also go crazy. Could it be that once senior brother Dongman uses his full strength, he will go crazy? A series of strange voices could be heard once again. Perhaps people felt that it was unreal, because the second most talented person in Tantric Buddhism actually went crazy. This was hard to accept. How could this happen? Dong Men Hong used to be fine. Even Master Tantra frowned. Suddenly, he looked at Lin Ling, who had his hands behind his back. Could it be him? Xing Xiu Yun also expressed his confusion. Perhaps he has mastered a technique that even we can't understand. The tantric master pondered for a moment, then sighed. Hearing this, Xing Shiyun smiled bitterly. He was the master, but he could not understand the technique his disciple used. This was very embarrassing. No wonder when he wanted to recruit Lin Ling as his disciple, Lin Ling's face was full of disdain. I think he's more suitable to be your master. What made him the most depressed was that Lord Tantra's words seemed to have rubbed salt into his wounds. Alas! Xing Shiyun could not help but let out a long sigh. The entire Vajrayana sect was watching Dongmen Hong go crazy. They never expected that this intense battle would end up in such a situation. Following that, they saw Lin Ling walk forward and place his sword beside Dongmen Hong's neck. Following that, Dongmen Hong stopped going crazy. However, when Dongmen Hong saw Lin Ling, his expression was undoubtedly laughable. He looked like a duck that had been grabbed by the neck. Weren't you trampled to death by me? That cry of surprise resounded throughout the tantric sect. Lin Ling was expressionless, but his eyes were filled with disdain. You've already lost to me twice. Do you want a third time? If it happens a third time, I guarantee that your head will roll off the ground like a gourd. These words were spoken so casually. It was as if defeating the number 2 genius of the spirit state was as easy as drinking water. However, when these words entered Dongmen Hong's ears, his heart trembled violently. For some unknown reason, a wisp of terror arose in his heart. Although he didn't know what Lin Ling had done, he knew that Lin Ling could easily control his life and death. If not for Lin Ling giving face to Master Tantric, he would have died twice already. Again. Lin Ling's voice floated out again. Dongmen Hong did not dare to answer. He didn't even dare to look into Lin Ling's eyes. He was scared. But soon, he came to his senses, and a thick sense of humiliation rose in his heart. He, the number 2 genius who roamed the 9 provinces and had a thunderous reputation in the spirit province, was actually afraid of a martial immortal of the younger generation. This was unacceptable to him. His pride made it so that he could not swallow this enormous humiliation. However, before he saw through Lin Ling's strength, he really did not dare to act rashly. Lin Ling, you used a demonic technique. Today, I admit defeat. In the future, I will definitely break your demonic technique. Dongmen Hong roared furiously, and his hair was disheveled as he fled into the distance. It seems that he's really gone mad. How disappointing. I thought that there would be an intense battle, but in the end, it's just a madman going mad. He can't even withstand a single blow. Dongmen Hong's appearance made the crowd even more certain of their thoughts. This genius must have gone mad. When Dongmen Hong heard those voices, he almost roared at the sky, I'm not mad. At that moment, he felt as if his heart was being cut by a knife. After becoming famous in the spirit state, this was the first time he had suffered such humiliation. Stray dog. Lin Ling smiled disdainfully. However, he did not attack again because he knew that he could not kill Dongmen Hong in the presence of the tantric sect. He had to give face to the tantric sect. However, he could sense Dongmen Hong's murderous intent towards him. Therefore, if there was a chance, he would definitely strike first. Next, he slowly walked towards the constellation cloud. Within the tantric sect, cheers could be heard. Regardless of whether Dongmen Hong was mad or not, it was certain that Lin Ling had won easily. Only the geniuses of the tantric sect had serious expressions. This was because they were certain that Dongmen Hong would not go mad. Therefore, they knew that Lin Ling had done something. The most terrifying thing was that no one could see through those hands and feet. This caused them to tremble with fear. It seems that Lin Ling is ranked second among the geniuses of the tantric sect. What a terrifying guy. He's only been in the spirit state for a short period of time, but he's already at the top of the spirit state. No one is dissatisfied with him. The geniuses of the tantric sect said one after another. They were shocked by Lin Ling's speed of growth and were even more in awe of Lin Ling. The three sons of the Qi family knelt down at that moment and looked at Lin Ling with eyes full of admiration. The illusion god's true inheritance shone brightly in the spirit state once again. Although Lin Ling did not announce this soul martial art, they knew that as long as Lin Ling had this secret technique, it was only a matter of time before he became famous. If the ancestor was here, he would definitely be moved to tears. Qi Shi's eyes were already wet. Lin Ling, good job. At that moment, the tantric sect master smiled at Lin Ling and said. He did not ask anything about Lin Ling. I was just lucky. Lin Ling replied calmly. There was no pride on his face. It was as if it was a given that he was ranked second among the geniuses of the tantric sect. Seeing Lin Ling's attitude, the tantric sect master and Xing Shiyun smiled helplessly. At that moment, they could not see through Lin Ling anymore. Lin Ling was shrouded in a mysterious glow. After chatting for a while, the crowd left. In the following days, Lin Ling brought Yu Yu and the rest to the ancient tree on Mount Yu to cultivate. Yu Yu and the rest also improved their strength greatly. As for Lin Ling, he did not need it for the time being because the dead souls he had devoured in the green state had gathered a large amount of spirit qi in his body. Senior brother Lin, junior sister Long invites you. That day, a letter of invitation fell into Lin Ling's hands. It was from Long Yang of the fairy sect. This caused Lin Ling to be puzzled because he had cut off all ties with Dragon Mother. She shouldn't have come looking for him. I'll ignore her. Shaking his head, Lin Ling decided to ignore Long Yang. Brother Ling, let's go and take a look. Long Yang's master is Senior Xing Shiyun's lover after all. Yu Yu and the rest reminded him. Long Yang is the top beauty. Aren't you afraid that Brother Ling will fall for her? Lin Ling smiled. Yu Yu and Xian Yuan Gu looked at each other and shook their heads. We believe that Brother Ling is not the kind of person who is greedy for beauty. Moreover, if Long Yang likes Brother Ling, it means that Brother Ling is outstanding. You guys are glib-tongued. Upon hearing that, Lin Ling shook his head helplessly. He also planned to attend the banquet. However, he said calmly, Long Yang is not simple either. She is hiding a secret that no one knows. I'm afraid that this invitation is ill-intentioned. His all-encompassing demon eyes had already seen that Long Yang had the bloodline of the dragon clan. However, I hope she doesn't think she's smart. Chapter 3094. The Tantric Sect's Decision. While Lin Ling was heading for the banquet, 5 figures were sitting in the Tantric Sect's grand hall. They were the Tantric Sect's lord and the 4 heavenly kings. These 5 people ruled over half of the spirit state. They were all sage-level experts. And their talents had reached the level of a 4th-grade desolate body. The Tantric Sect's lord had a 5th-grade desolate body. Now, Lin Ling and Dong Men Hong have completely fallen out. It looks like we can only choose one of the two. The Tantric Sect's lord suddenly said. Upon hearing this, the 4 heavenly kings fell silent. Dong Men Hong had a 3rd-grade desolate body and was a son of the ancient desolate lands. He was a rare genius no matter where he was placed. Originally, they should not have missed out on him. However, Lin Ling had appeared out of nowhere and was even more dazzling than Dong Men Hong. Hence, they had made a decision. Most importantly, this was forced upon them by Dong Men Hong. If Dong Men Hong did not target Lin Ling, the Tantric Sect would not have given up on him. Although we have to give up on him, a 3rd-grade desolate body is one of a kind. It makes my heart ache. The Tantric Sect's lord sighed. The growth of a desolate body was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Every grade increased one's combat strength by several times. If not for Lin Ling having 3 talents and 1st-grade desolate bodies, which could match a 3rd-grade desolate body when combined, Lin Ling would be inferior to Dong Men Hong in terms of aura suppression. My disciple, Lin Ling, may not have a high cultivation level, but he is a mystery. He is skilled in powers that we do not understand. He clearly has more potential than Dong Men Hong. At this moment, Xing Shiyun also spoke. He was afraid that the other three heavenly kings would not be satisfied. Is that true? The other three elders asked with a frown. Xing Shiyun and the Tantric Sect's lord looked at each other and nodded in tacit understanding. The Tantric Sect's lord said, "Not long ago, Lin Ling defeated Dong Men Hong. I believe that he relied on soul martial arts. And such martial arts are rarely used in other places other than the top divine lands. Soul martial arts." Indeed, the three heavenly kings began to waver. Furthermore, even though my disciple acknowledged me as his master, I can tell that he only came here for my cultivation resources. He has never asked me for any guidance on the martial way, so I'm guessing that his martial way experience is probably greater than everyone else's. Xing Shiyun added. I agree with old Yun's opinion. I even suspect that Lin Ling is a descendant of a god and is reincarnated. Perhaps he is a god from the era of gods, so he knows more than us. The Tantric master nodded. With that said, the hearts of the three heavenly kings were completely on Lin Ling's side. I estimate that before long, no one in the spirit state will be able to stop Lin Ling. In the end, Master Tantra gave an evaluation. Dong dong dong. The hearts of the four heavenly kings throbbed like drums. This meant that Lin Ling's potential was at the peak of the spirit state. Potential was the standard to evaluate a prodigy. However, not every prodigy could unleash their potential. Some prodigies' potential was at most at the level of the four heavenly kings, and some were even worse than the four heavenly kings. Of course, this did not exclude the possibility that they would have a fortuitous encounter and rise up in the future. However, Lin Ling, who had yet to encounter any fortuitous encounters, already had unlimited potential. This was something that was unique in the spirit state. However, it is said that Dong Men Hong is very close to the Azure Dragon Hall. If he has a conflict with Lin Ling again and the Azure Dragon Hall intervenes, it will be difficult for us Tantra. However, at this moment, one of the heavenly kings said awkwardly. The Azure Dragon Hall was a behind-the-scenes force similar to the 9 heavenly kings of the green state. However, they never cared about anything in the spirit state. Their mission was to maintain the order of the heavenly kings of the spirit state, and this was all left behind by the gods. Therefore, at some point in time, they were even stronger than the Mi and Xian sects. Although the Azure Dragon Hall values Dong Men Hong, they have no right to interfere with the matters of the Tantra. Master Tantra immediately stood up and made up his mind. No matter what, he would not give up on Lin Ling. Seeing this, Xing Shiyun heaved a sigh of relief. Thinking of his disciple who was lazy about everything, a smile appeared on his face. In fact, taking Lin Ling as his disciple was more because he liked Lin Ling. Cough cough. However, at this moment, Master Tantra started coughing. Every time he coughed, he seemed to have aged a lot. And when the blood splattered on the ground, it immediately corroded the ground. Master Tantra. Xing Shiyun and the others were extremely worried. Don't worry, my lifespan is coming to an end. I'm afraid that it won't be long before I disappear from this world. This is the unchanging Tao of the universe, no one can change it. I only hope that before my lifespan ends, Tantra can find a good realm monarch. Master Tantra waved his hand and forced a smile. Seeing this, Xing Shiyun and the others' faces darkened. They knew that Master Tantra had lived for countless years and was fated to witness the end of the era of gods. However, martial artists were not truly immortal. If a saint did not become a god, everything would be meaningless. However, knowing this was one thing, but they still found it hard to accept. On the other hand, Master Tantra's reaction was calm. Perhaps he had already seen through everything a few hundred years ago. Everyone, unless they were a god, had to die. The sun shone brightly, birds chirped, and flowers bloomed. In an ancient valley, a slender figure slowly walked forward. Wherever he passed, no matter the cultivation level of the experts, they all looked at him with admiration. Senior Brother Lin. Laughter rang out one after another. When he saw this, the handsome young man smiled and left the valley just like that. With my current cultivation level, there are many trump cards that I can improve. For example, the calamity-destroying Sun Bao, the illusion god's true inheritance, Little Kun Luen, and the scabbard. The young man thought to himself as he evaluated his own strength. He estimated that he could defeat 90% of those in the early stage of the half-saint stage. As for those in the fourth stage of the half-saint stage, even if he could not win, it would be a draw. Thinking of this, the young man relaxed. He looked at the sky and knew that in the spirit state, there were less than 100 people who could defeat him. Once he entered the top 10 of the spirit state, he would be able to roam the 9 prefectures freely. Obviously, he also knew that if he left the 9 prefectures and encountered the experts of the heavenly court, it would be extremely disadvantageous for him. According to the location on the invitation, Lin Ling left the valley and appeared on the vast grassland. Then, he walked forward. Before long, an ancient mountain peak appeared on the grassland. White clouds drifted in the air, making it look like a paradise. This surprised the young man. He did not expect there to be a mountain peak on the grassland. Senior Brother Lin. Women walked down from the mountain peak one after another and bowed to the young man when they saw him. These women were very good-looking and were disciples of the fairy sect. Seeing this, the young man nodded slightly and walked up the mountain path. Senior Brother Lin, you're here. Senior Sister Long has been waiting for a long time. Senior Brother Lin. When he arrived at the mountain peak, a beautiful woman smiled. Your Longyang sect is so ostentatious that I, Lin Ling, have to come from afar. Senior Brother Lin. Chapter 3095. Poisoned. Senior Sister Long is a girl after all. Visiting Senior Brother Lin out of the blue will tarnish her reputation. The girl explained. If I, Lin Ling, visit you personally, others will suspect that I can't forget Longyang. Will that tarnish my reputation? Humph. Upon hearing that, Lin Ling immediately snorted. His words made the girl even more embarrassed, and she hurriedly gestured for him to enter. Lin Ling glanced at her coldly and strode into the building in front of him. At the same time, he disliked Longyang even more. The building was exquisitely decorated and had a total of 3 floors. After entering, a fragrant scent filled the air, making one feel as if they had entered a beautiful town. Lin Ling went all the way up to the 3rd floor. There was a huge curtain there, and he could vaguely see 2 peerless beauties talking. Looking inside through the curtains, coupled with the fragrance wafting in the air, it was enough to make one feel restless. This made Lin Ling frown slightly, but he opened the curtain and entered. The first thing that came into view were 2 devastatingly beautiful women. They were wearing long pink dresses that were a little tight, outlining their perfect figures. Senior Brother Lin is here. One of the girls said with a smile when she saw Lin Ling. Her smile could make 100 flowers pale in comparison. Then, the 2 girls walked toward Lin Ling with graceful steps. As they walked, their fair and slender legs were extremely alluring. The floor was paved with an unknown soft animal skin, leaving their feet bare. Upon closer inspection, one would find that their feet were extremely exquisite, making one want to hold them in one's arms and play with them. What's the matter? Lin Ling said nonchalantly. However, he had to admit that the 2 girls were extremely beautiful. One of them was the second most beautiful genius of the fairy sect, and the other was the top beauty of the tantric sect, Longyang. Compared to the second most beautiful genius, Dragon Lady had a mysterious aura that made her seem like the moon in the water. She had a kind of hazy beauty. Lin Ling sized up the 2 beauties, making them blush. One of the girls said shyly, "Senior Brother Lin, we're a little shy when you look at us like this. Aren't you dressed like this for others to see?" Lin Ling said faintly. His words made the two women's pretty faces look a little embarrassed. After all, they were the top beauties of the tantric sect, but Lin Ling had made them into prostitutes. "Senior Brother Lin, I invited you here today to resolve the misunderstanding between us. Last time, I really didn't mean it. However, I can't disobey the sect master's orders. Therefore, I made that choice in a difficult situation." Dragon Lady looked at Lin Ling with her beautiful eyes. "That's right. Senior Sister Long hasn't even met you yet. If you suddenly say that you want to marry her, she definitely won't be able to accept it," said the other girl. "If you're here to apologize, then you don't have to say anything else. I, Lin Ling, accept it. From today onwards, we're strangers," Lin Ling immediately said as soon as the two girls finished speaking. "Senior Brother Lin, you really don't hate me anymore?" Long Yang frowned when she heard that. "To put it bluntly, I don't hate strangers, so don't look for me anymore." Lin Ling stood up and was about to leave after saying that. His words made Long Yang and the other girl furious. After all, they were the top beauties of the tantric sect, but Lin Ling's attitude towards them was too cold. "Senior Brother Lin, since you're leaving, can I offer you a cup of wine as an apology?" Long Yang stood up and walked over with light steps. She held a cup of wine in her hands and her eyes were filled with sincerity. Lin Ling frowned when he saw that. "Senior Brother Lin, are you still blaming me?" Long Yang became so lovely that one would feel pity for her. However, Lin Ling remained indifferent. "Senior Brother Lin, even if you don't want to give face to Long Yang, you should at least give face to Lord Lin Ling," the girl said hurriedly when she saw Lin Ling's expressionless face. Her words finally moved Lin Ling. His master and the sect master of the fairy sect were lovers. Therefore, if he refused the wine as an apology, he would be disrespecting them. The sect master of the fairy sect would also be seen as petty and inferior to a girl. After this wine, we'll never meet again. Thinking of this, Lin Ling took the wine cup and checked it. Seeing that there was nothing wrong with it, he downed it in one gulp, looking extremely heroic. "Senior Brother Lin is indeed amazing," Long Yang and the others said immediately. Lin Ling ignored them, threw down the cup, and strode away. However, the moment he turned around, Long Yang and the girl looked at each other with madness and coldness in their eyes. At the same time, Lin Ling took a step forward, but his expression instantly changed, and a feeling of the world spinning rose in his mind. This wine was poisonous. This gave him a great fright. However, when he checked the wine before, he didn't find anything strange. With Li Xiaoyao's eyes, it was obviously very difficult to hide from him. Even if there was something, it wouldn't appear in the spirit province. Suddenly, Lin Ling's eyes lit up. The Fecta peach blossom. The fragrance in the air belonged to the Fecta peach blossom, which had excellent cultivation effects for martial artists. However, this peach blossom also had its nemesis. If it met the yin-yang orthodox wood, it would cause a drastic change. The previous wine obviously contained the yin-yang orthodox wood. This divine wood was also non-poisonous, but it couldn't meet the Fecta peach blossom. If it did, it would turn into a poison that would go through thousands of reincarnations. Lin Ling instantly understood. Of course, it wasn't because he was careless. He just didn't expect Long Yang to know such an ancient secret. Bitch! He turned around and looked at Long Yang. He wanted to gather his strength, but it was as if all his strength had been sealed. Even his soul power was the same. "Senior Brother Lin, you can only blame yourself for not knowing what's good for you." At this moment, Long Yang was no longer as lovely as before. She had become cold. Plop! Lin Ling glared at Long Yang angrily. However, he finally fell down and his consciousness began to blur. Senior Sister Long, the poison that senior brother Dongmen gave is indeed amazing. I was afraid that it wouldn't be enough to kill Lin Ling. Seeing Lin Ling fall down, the woman beside Long Yang immediately sneered. This poison recipe was obtained by senior brother Dongmen in a miracle in Yuzhou. Naturally, it is extraordinary. Those who are poisoned will dream of life and death, enter the reincarnation of their previous life, and finally become a person from their previous life. Dragon Mother said coldly. This Lin Ling is very strong, but he definitely wasn't strong in his previous life. If he returned to his previous life, he would also be an ant. However, Master Xing Shiyun behind Lin Ling can't be underestimated. How do you plan to deal with him, Senior Sister Long? It's simple. Just say that Lin Ling humiliated me with wine. I think Master Xing Shiyun would be too embarrassed to speak up. Also, Lin Ling will be cursed in the spirit state as a bastard. Chapter 3096. Li Xiaoyao from his previous life had awakened. Let's not talk about this anymore. You, on the other hand, aren't you cultivating the Yin Maiden Divine technique? You need to absorb the realm essence of men, so Lin Ling is beneficial to you. You should have sex with him. Thank you, Senior Sister Long. After chatting for a while, the woman smiled and looked at Lin Ling like a snake staring at its prey. Then, she waved her hand, and her boundary energy enveloped Lin Ling and brought him to the second floor. Although this Lin Ling is very annoying, he's also a big shot. Plus, he's handsome, so you won't lose out. Have fun. Long Yang smiled enviously as she watched the woman leave. Thank you, Senior Sister. Junior Sister knows that Lin Ling is probably the best man Junior Sister has ever played with in her entire life. The woman let out a crisp laugh that was like a silver bell, and it contained a hint of lust and evil. After you're done, don't kill him. He has something I need. Long Yang said again, but the woman had already disappeared from the second floor. To think that a peerless genius of Tantra would end up like this. How sad. The third floor quickly quieted down, but not long after, a young man appeared with a smile on his face. He seemed to have arrived from the chaos of the universe. Clearly, he was extremely powerful. Dragon Lady, I've helped you once, you should contribute something, right? Then, the young man looked at Long Yang with a burning gaze. Senior brother Dongmen, we're just doing this for our own benefits. There's no need to talk about who's helping whom. As for what I should contribute, if you want my body, then don't even think about it. For some reason, I, Long Yang, can't lose my virginity. If you want to use force, then I can only fight with my life. Long Yang's eyes were cold as she looked at the young man. Hearing this, the young man frowned deeply, but he felt that Long Yang was not joking, so he endured it in the end. However, she still smiled and said, "You're practicing some kind of cultivation technique, so you have to maintain your virginity?" I didn't expect the number one beauty of Tantra to be a virgin. I'm envious of the man who'll get your body in the future. There will never be. Long Yang shook her head. The young man shrugged and said, Lin Ling's poison, at first, Lin Ling's. However, the woman who cured Lin Ling was the number one beauty of Tantra. If you feel unreconciled, I can let Junior Sister accompany you. Thinking about it, she should be very happy. Dragon Mother said. I can. The young man licked his red. He was Lady Sister, Dongmen, Dongmen Dongmen Dongmen. Dongmen Dongmen. Dongmen Dongmen, Dongmen, Dongmen's Dongmen, Lu Dongmen Dongmen, Dongmen ine Dongmen Dongmen go Dongers end. Come, let's drink. I'm waiting to see how useless Lin Ling is when he wakes up. He's so strong in this life, he must have been trash in his previous life. Junior Sister is also looking forward to it. The two of them quickly sat down, drank and chatted happily, and waited for the result. Meanwhile, on the second floor, the woman had already taken off her gown, revealing her fair skin and a body that could drive any man crazy. However, her eyes were fixed on the otherworldly man, and she could not help but lick her lips. This action was also very flirtatious. "You're the only man who's worthy of me, Lin Ling, I'll make you very comfortable." Her jade-like feet stepped out, and a patch of white flowers continued to jump around. At that moment, Lin Ling's face was flushed red. Although his eyes were closed, one could see that his breathing was extremely heavy. Obviously, the poison of desire had entered his soul. Although his subconscious mind was rejecting everything, his body betrayed him. His soul had entered thousands of reincarnations, and this reincarnation was even more terrifying than the ghost city in the rainforest's holy land. That was because these thousands of reincarnations had reached the era of the gods. At that time, who was Lin Ling? Who was he in his previous life? "Wake up, you can't fall here. Wake up." However, just as he returned to the first life, an ancient voice sounded in Lin Ling's soul. This made him sober up a little. Next, he skipped the first life, lingered in the second life, and turned into a mortal. Then, the third life, the fourth life, and the 100 reincarnations. The hidden dazzling light on Lin Ling's body gradually dimmed. It was as if he had become a mortal from his previous life. This poison is indeed as terrifying as the rumors say. No matter how powerful a genius or a saint is, after being poisoned, they will become immortal. They will no longer have the all-powerful aura. This Lin Ling is so pitiful. He was originally at the peak of the spirit state, but he still fell. Sensing the changes in Lin Ling's body, the woman did not do anything for the time being. Instead, she watched curiously. Finally, after seeing the mortal light on Lin Ling's body become stronger and stronger, she quietly climbed onto the bed and covered herself with the blanket with a smile. At this moment, Lin Ling had reincarnated for thousands of times, and the saint light on his body became dimmer and dimmer. One had to know that the birth of a powerhouse also required the recognition of the universe's chaos. This power of recognition was invisible, just like the fate of the Son of Heaven. When you have the fate of becoming an emperor, then even if you are a peasant, fate will arrange for you to become an emperor. On the contrary, if you have the fate of a mortal, then even if you were born in a noble family, you will inevitably end up as a mortal in the future. In the universe's chaos, there is a mysterious destiny. This was also the reason why warriors cultivated, because they wanted to defy the heavens and change their fate. However, Lin Ling's previous life was not as dazzling as this life, but there was a life where his name shook the 9 states. And that was the ghost genius Li Xiaoyao. Unknowingly, Lin Ling came to Li Xiaoyao's life. Suddenly, his body began to emit a powerful aura, as if a saint had descended. That destiny, that fortune, was even more terrifying than Lin Ling's in this life. "I am Lin Ling, killed by Longyang." Lin Ling's hazy soul gradually began to wake up. His soul was roaring, causing his body to become even hotter. The spiritual energy hidden in his dantian was rolling at this moment. Rumble. Lin Ling's cultivation realm had completely stepped into the 8th level of the martial immortal realm, and the other 3 dantians had also smoothly stepped into the 8th level when he was on the verge of death. "What?" The woman sleeping next to Lin Ling exclaimed at this moment. Normally, after Lin Ling was poisoned by the divine poison, he should have turned into a mortal. Even if his cultivation was still strong, it would definitely be difficult for him to control it. Then, she would use the sexual intercourse technique to steal Lin Ling's cultivation. However, Lin Ling had broken through. Poisoned, then broken through. Thinking of this, the woman's body trembled. She turned her head and looked at the handsome young man beside her with her beautiful eyes. The young man's face was as cold as a knife, and his breathing was as heavy as a cow's. However, his calm appearance made the woman feel a little terrified. "Could it be that I'm imagining things?" the woman muttered to herself. However, at this moment, Lin Ling's slender eyelashes moved slightly, and his eyes opened. A cold gaze, as if from the depths of hell, looked indifferently at the woman beside him. Chapter 3097. I am Li Xiaoyao. You, who are you? The woman's voice was trembling because she realized that the young man beside her was different. He looked like Lin Ling, but he didn't. Instead, he looked like the ruler of 9 prefectures. Could it be that Lin Ling was an extremely terrifying existence in his previous life? I am Li Xiaoyao. Lin Ling spat out these words coldly and stood up. Spare me, spare me. The woman hurriedly knelt down. Her entire body was white, and she was trembling. She felt that the poison had awakened a death god. I never thought that I would be able to see this world again. However, Lin Ling didn't care about the woman. He opened his arms as if he was hugging the sky. At this moment, he looked more like Li Xiaoyao. He was naked. His muscles weren't burly, but they were as exquisite as gems. His long hair cascaded down casually. How was this a young man? He was more like a lazy god emperor who had just woken up. However, Li Xiaoyao is Li Xiaoyao. Lin Ling is Lin Ling. I will return him to you in this life. The man said coldly. His tone was domineering. It was the aura of stepping on the geniuses of 9 prefectures. His gaze moved quietly and landed on the beauty beside him. He said disdainfully, You are worthy of me. I am sorry, I am sorry. Lin Ling, you can have anything you want. Please spare my life. The woman kowtowed on the bed. The current Lin Ling was even more terrifying than the previous Lin Ling. I want your life. Lin Ling stretched out his hand and patted the woman's head. The latter wanted to say something, but she died in the end. Perhaps before she died, she never thought that she would be able to have sex with Lin Ling. However, this step seemed close, but it was as far as the end of the world. Lin Ling glanced around and saw his clothes and 2 swords. His heart skipped a beat. Instantly, all his clothes floated over, and the 2 swords hung lightly on his back. Longyang, I've told you not to think too highly of yourself. He stepped out and walked towards the 3rd floor. At this moment, on the 3rd floor, Longyang and the others were still drinking, quietly waiting for Lin Ling's miserable state. However, they were chatting and laughing at the beginning, but when they talked about everything about Lin Ling, their faces became serious. This Lin Ling is from the Azure State. Logically speaking, he shouldn't be so powerful. He has dominated the spirit state in such a short period of time. I couldn't believe it. Even now, I still can't believe it. That's right. I've seen countless geniuses, but this is the first time I've seen someone like Lin Ling. That's why I've always been curious as to why he has such power. Longyang, I reckon that he has a true backer, a powerful cultivator from above the spirit state. With the support of that powerful cultivator, he will naturally be able to do the impossible. You have a point. The 2 of them looked at each other. They both believed that Lin Ling had the support of a powerful cultivator. Humph, he's only relying on his backer's background. If we're comparing individuals, he can't compare to me at all. Dong Menhong drank a mouthful of wine and consoled himself. Moreover, this consolation made him smile. Come, let's drink and wait. When Lin Ling appears again, he will become an ant-like existence like he was in his first life. Longyang also smiled gently and clinked her wine glass with Dong Menhong's. Smack. However, at this moment, the sound of footsteps could be heard. Then, a slender figure lifted the curtain and appeared before their eyes. This made Longyang and Dong Menhong stop drinking. That's right. Give me a glass. The person said calmly. His expression was calm, and no one knew what he was thinking. At this moment, Dong Menhong and the others frowned. They did not know if the Lin Ling in front of them was still the Lin Ling in his first life. Sure, but I want to ask why you want to drink. Dong Menhong fiddled with the wine glass in his hand and suddenly laughed. Although Lin Ling had suddenly appeared, he believed that the current Lin Ling should be in his first or second life. Anyway, he was definitely an ordinary person and was definitely not the Lin Ling of the past. After drinking, I'll kill you. However, Lin Ling's next sentence stunned Dong Menhong and Longyang, and their hearts trembled. Kill them? Could it be that Lin Ling had returned? How could this be? That kind of divine poison was not something that ordinary people could detoxify. Are you Lin Ling or someone else? Longyang immediately acted as if she was facing a formidable enemy. I'm Lin Ling's previous life, Li Xiaoyao. Li Xiaoyao said. Lin Ling moved and sat down in front of Longyang and the others. Then, he poured himself a glass of wine and drank. Previous life? Li Xiaoyao asked. Could it be that Lin Ling was also an expert in his previous life, and was even stronger than the current Lin Ling? Longyang and Dong Menhong were shocked. They felt as if they had done something wrong, because they had awakened an existence that was even more terrifying than Lin Ling. Subconsciously, they looked at Lin Ling, but found that Lin Ling's eyes were half closed and he was calmly tasting the wine. It was as if he was not worried even if the sky collapsed. Lin Ling, you're a genius of Tantric Buddhism, but do you want to know what I think about this? Do I believe you? Do I believe you? Longyang frowned and said lightly. So what if I believe you? So what if I believe you? Lin Ling smelled the wine in the glass and said to himself. I'm telling you, I don't believe you. I think that you didn't rely on yourself to become a genius. Longyang said through gritted teeth. Perhaps this was her opinion of Lin Ling. All this time, not only had she been jealous of Lin Ling, but she had also been disdainful of Lin Ling. She felt that Lin Ling was only so dazzling because he was favored by Xing Xian. However, she was rational. She knew that there was no such thing as reaching the heavens in a single step on the path of martial arts. Lin Ling could only be said to be lucky. Speaking of this, Dong Menhong was even more dissatisfied. He was the second most talented genius of Tantric Buddhism, but he had lost to Lin Ling. Most importantly, he had never heard of Lin Ling's name in the beginning. Therefore, how could he be convinced? Lin Ling, what else do you have other than luck? Your talent is not as good as senior brother Dongman's, your cultivation time is not as long as his, and you don't have the arrogance that a martial artist should have. It's as if you don't care about anything in the spirit state. You lack the focus that a genius should have. You don't deserve to be called a genius. Lin Ling, if you didn't use sorcery, you wouldn't be my opponent at all with your own strength. How can you call yourself a genius? Dong Menhong and Long Xiaoyao's voices became hysterical. Perhaps they had both been humiliated by Lin Ling before. One had been rejected in public, while the other had been defeated twice in public. They were not ordinary people, so how could they swallow this? Most importantly, Lin Ling had appeared out of nowhere and had no previous achievements. Seeing a person they didn't know suddenly standing above their heads and humiliating them, it was easy to imagine the knot in their hearts that they suppressed in their hearts. However, Lin Ling was still drinking. Compared to their agitated expressions, he seemed very calm. He clearly did not want to explain anything. In terms of experience, talent, and achievements, Li Xiaoyao was indeed not famous in the spirit state. It was difficult for people to obey him. Chapter 3098. Why? Are you done? Stop. Finally, Lin Ling put down his cup and looked at Longyang calmly. Longyang, I told you that after drinking that cup of wine, you and I are strangers. I also told myself that I hope you don't think you're smart. Unfortunately, you did. Stop. He looked at Dong Fanghong. I defeated you twice in a row. You don't even know what kind of existence I am, and you dare to attack me for the third time. I said that after the third time, I will make your head roll on the ground like a gourd. Stop. I know that you're not willing to accept this, but I can tell you that my existence is something that you'll never be able to imagine. Stop. Since you're not convinced, then I, Lin Ling, will tell you what I rely on. Stop. Lin Ling stood up. The dragon god roared, and the true inheritance dark sword floated out. Calamity-destroying sun bow. Stop. The terrifying dragon bone bow appeared, and Lin Ling gently pulled it back. At this moment it was as if he could kill the 9 states with an arrow. The scariest thing was that the true inheritance dark sword turned into an arrow and was held in Lin Ling's hand. The sword was pointed at Dong Men Hong. The entire mountain peak instantly split open, and the ants collapsed. The plains of the spirit state also continued to tremble. This change made Long Yang and Dong Fang Hong's expressions change drastically, especially Dong Men Hong. He looked as if he was facing a great enemy. Last time, you said that I defeated you with my demonic arts. This time, I'll show you my true strength. Stop. Dong Men Hong, I'll give you 3 breaths time to prepare. After 3 breaths, I, Lin Ling, will take your head. Stop. His soft voice drifted out, but it carried a domineering aura. Come on, don't use your demonic arts. I think you, Lin Ling, are only a so-so. Stop. At this point, Dong Men Hong didn't hide his strength anymore. He unleashed his full strength, and a huge sacred mountain appeared in the sky. An ancient pagoda appeared, and his true god martial spirit exploded. Long Yang was extremely nervous, but she believed that Lin Ling, who didn't use his demonic arts, was no match for Dong Men Hong. 3 breaths time. At the same time, Lin Ling let out a cold shout and drew his sword like a dragon god. Roar! On the plains of the spirit state, there were waves even though there was no wind. A dragon was roaring in the sky. Rumble! Dong Men Hong's talent was pierced through by the arrow. The 5th grade supreme artifact pagoda in the sky broke through the void. Even the true god martial spirit was unable to block it. Whoosh! The sword turned around and pierced through Dong Men Hong's head like a divine arrow or a Buddha's bow. 1 shot, kill. Gulyalu. Dong Men Hong's head rolled on the ground. His eyes showed that he had died with a grievance. He was the 2nd most powerful genius in Tantric Buddhism, yet he was killed by a single shot. This was an outcome that he never expected. Perhaps before he died, he only knew that when Lin Ling attacked for the 3rd time, his head would roll on the ground like a gourd. After killing Dong Men Hong with ease, Lin Ling waved his right hand and the dragon bout disappeared. He placed his hands behind his back and looked at Long Yang calmly. Now you should know that the reason why I was valued by Tantric Buddhism was not because of my relationship with my master, but because I have the potential to rule the 9 prefectures, as well as the speed of my growth that surpasses all the other monstrous geniuses. When these words reached Long Yang's ears, her heart collapsed. In the past, when Lin Ling faced Dong Men Hong, he could only rely on his demonic arts. But today, when Lin Ling faced Dong Men Hong, he only needed 1 arrow. The entire process didn't even take 3 months. This increase in cultivation level, this increase in strength, was truly too terrifying. This made Long Yang feel as though she had seen a god. Following that, endless regret filled her heart. She knew what kind of existence she had provoked. I thought I was clever. Long Yang muttered to herself. If she had a choice, she might have used that cup of apology wine to sever ties with Lin Ling forever. Unfortunately, she did think she was clever. Lin Ling walked over expressionlessly. You should know that if you harm me, Lin Ling, there will only be one outcome. You can resist now, but I don't think it will be of much use. This sentence sounded like he was talking to a friend, but it was mixed with indifference. Plop. Long Yang was so frightened that she fell to the ground, her beautiful face turning pale. Although Lin Ling's words were arrogant, they also represented the truth. She couldn't resist Lin Ling. Lin Ling had already arrived in front of Longyang. The tyrannical song sword appeared in his hand. His eyes showed no mercy as he wanted to kill her. But at this moment, desire surged into his mind, causing his expression to change. Get lost. I, Li Xiaoyao, have dominated the 9 prefectures and have been labeled as a monstrous genius. I can shock the heavens and the earth and make the gods cry. You want to control me with just a little poison. Sensing the terrifying desire, Lin Ling shouted angrily. However, his eyes gradually turned red as he stared at Longyang maliciously. Longyang's delicate body trembled as she subconsciously clasped her legs together. Longyang, get lost. Lin Ling shouted angrily again. He was using his strong willpower to resist the desire of the god. However, this resistance was also gradually weakening. What made Lin Ling angry was that Longyang was scared silly and didn't leave. Wasn't she forcing Lin Ling to leave? No, don't. Longyang's eyes were already wet. She knew what was going to happen next. This was definitely the effect of the poison. She began to cry like a little girl. However, Lin Ling had already rushed over. What followed was a series of cries and moans. Lin Ling, don't. Longyang's voice also gradually weakened. I will haunt you even if I become a ghost. She cultivated a taboo technique and had to maintain her virginity. However, today, all her previous efforts had gone to waste. Ultimate desolate body. You are cultivating the ultimate desolate body. Is this your secret? At this moment, Lin Ling said as he looked at the powerless beauty beneath him after a round of passion. Lin Ling, I won't let you off. Longyang's body was extremely weak, but her voice was filled with hatred. This is all because you thought you were smart. Upon hearing this, Lin Ling sneered. If not for Longyang harming him, Longyang wouldn't have ended up in such a state. Furthermore, Lin Ling had resisted his desire with his willpower. At that time, Longyang should have left immediately. If she stayed, and with the body of the number 1 beauty of Tantric Buddhism, how could Lin Ling, who was overwhelmed by desire, resist? Since you won't let me off, I'll eliminate you by the roots. Lin Ling's eyes turned even colder. His principle was to treat others the way they treated him. He would not show mercy just because the other party was a beauty. His palm crazily grabbed Longyang's abdomen, causing Longyang to let out a painful cry. In her smooth abdomen, a jade-white bone was pulled out by Lin Ling. My ultimate desolate body. Longyang cried out in pain, as if she had encountered the most terrifying ordeal in her life. Furthermore, her painful voice sounded like she was about to cry. However, Lin Ling ignored her. When the jade-white bone was pulled out, a massive force exploded, sending Lin Ling flying. Lin Ling, the next time we meet, I'll definitely kill you. Longyang's hair was disheveled. Using the explosive force, she ran into the distance. However, that voice was filled with hatred. It made one tremble in fear. And this was clearly a warrior's blood oath. Trying to escape. Lin Ling knew that if he allowed Longyang to escape, there would be no end of trouble. Therefore, he immediately chased after her. Chapter 3099. Azure Dragon Hall Saint. Following that, a golden light shone in the sky, and a tall and sturdy old man with long golden hair appeared in the sky. He looked down at Lin Ling like a god. What was shocking was that the lower half of this old man's body was a huge snake tail, and his entire body was covered in golden scales. Scram! Lin Ling also saw that the person's cultivation was at the sage realm, and the sage light was extremely rich. But now, he couldn't care less because Longyang was running further and further away. And that was indeed the case. Longyang's clothes were disheveled and her delicate little face was filled with resentment. She was quickly disappearing into the sky. Today, the reason she had invited Lin Ling here was because of Lin Ling's dragon bones. Those dragon bones could rapidly increase her talent. Of course, she was a rational person. She had thought about this for a long time before she made this decision. In the end, she decided that if Lin Ling died, Xing Xiuyun might be furious. However, as long as she unleashed her outstanding potential, Xing Xiuyun would not dare to do anything to her. However, no matter how much she thought about it, she would never have thought that Lin Ling's past life was so terrifying. Not only did he cure her poison, he even broke through his realm in a short period of time. Who are you? How dare you speak to a saint like this? Saint, allow me to kill him and restore peace to the spirit province. At this moment, the clouds in the sky were torn apart, and a young man dressed like a child appeared, glaring angrily at Lin Ling. As far as he was concerned, the young man before him had simply rebelled because he actually dared to speak to a saint of the Azure Dragon Hall in such a tone. Lin Ling kept staring into the distance. Finally, when he saw that Longyang had completely disappeared, his expression became even colder. I am Lin Ling, the person who will kill you. The tyrannical Song sword appeared in his hand. Lin Ling looked at the boy in the sky and slashed out. 30% of the demon sword step, in addition to the fusion of the 4 great dantians, attacked crazily. Previously, Lin Ling had been able to kill Dong Men Hong with the help of the calamity-destroying Sun Bao because his cultivation had improved to the 8th layer martial immortal realm. Therefore, the power of this sword strike was even sharper than before. What arrogance! The boy didn't expect Lin Ling to be so arrogant, daring to kill him in front of a saint. He also used his full strength. Since he was able to become a servant of the Azure Dragon Hall, his strength was naturally not to be underestimated. He was a first-layer half-saint. Unfortunately, this strength was simply not enough to look at Lin Ling. Huizi, be careful. The old man didn't care at first, but his expression suddenly changed because he felt that sword strike was extremely sharp. Lin Ling. You're Lin Ling from Tantra. Furthermore, he also realized what was going on. Lin Ling of Tantra. When the boy heard the old man's words, he immediately sobered up. Lin Ling of Tantric Buddhism had appeared out of nowhere. He could be said to be a big shot in the spirit state. He was the most famous person in the spirit state. However, they didn't expect that this big shot was actually so young. Whoosh! With a slash of the sword, the boy's head fell off. He didn't leave behind any words as his soul scattered. You killed him. The old man was stunned in the sky. Then, he flew into a rage. I have no enmity with you. Why did you stop me? Don't you know that letting Longyang go is equivalent to killing me? Hearing this, Lin Ling gave tit for tat. You killed Dong Men Hong. He was an important person in the spirit state, so how can I let you go? Furthermore, you killed the boy in front of me. Do you think that the Azure Dragon Hall doesn't exist? The old man's snake tail started to sway, mixed with anger. As a member of the Azure Dragon Hall, they usually didn't care about the matters of the spirit state unless it was related to the Emperor's mandate. Currently, there were a few people who were most qualified to receive the Emperor's mandate, and one of them was Dong Men Hong. Furthermore, Longyang was also one of them. Others didn't know that Longyang was cultivating a forbidden technique, but the Azure Dragon Hall knew. Furthermore, they had been quietly waiting for Longyang's technique to reach the ultimate desolate body. The ultimate desolate body was a talent that only appeared in the era of the gods. The word ultimate represented everything. In the entire 9 provinces, there were only a handful of people who had such talent. Therefore, Longyang had always been valued by the Azure Dragon Hall. It was just that ordinary people didn't know. Why didn't you speak up when they tried to harm me? However, Lin Ling raised his head fearlessly. At this moment, he looked like Lin Ling, but more like Li Xiaoyao. His gaze was full of disdain as he looked at the old man from the Azure Dragon Hall. And this kind of aura undoubtedly stunned the old man. This was because the young man in front of him had long hair fluttering in the wind. His eyes were staring at him. Not only did he not show any respect or fear, but he looked at him as if he was looking at an ant. Does he know what kind of existence he is facing? The old man was somewhat tongue-tied. In the countless years in the spirit state, he hadn't met such a person in a long time. This was because even the giants of the Mi and Xian sects didn't dare to face him like this. Impudent. Even if you are a genius of the spirit state, if you can't obtain the recognition of the Azure Dragon Hall, you are just a fly. Sigh. But soon, the old man shook his head. His eyebrows twitched, and a huge palm mixed with the aura of a saint grabbed at Lin Ling. However, at this moment, exclamations suddenly sounded. Senior Azure, wait. How dare you, old man? Fuck you. At first, the voices were somewhat polite, but the voices that followed were not polite at all. They directly cursed. Then, 5 meteors shot over from afar, cutting through the sky of the spirit state. Countless warriors in the spirit state looked at the sky in admiration. They sensed that those 5 people were definitely the strongest emperors in the spirit state. Bang! At the same time, a fist quickly arrived, releasing the aura of a saint. It collided with the old man's palm, causing the latter's expression to change. Master Tantra. He never expected that killing a genius of the Tantra would attract the master of the Tantra. Moreover, the latter did not hesitate to attack him. One had to know that in terms of status, the Azure Dragon Hall was more sacred than the Tantra. It was just that they didn't care about the matters of the spirit state. Sorry. After the master of the Tantra attacked, he said coldly. Are you crazy? You attacked the Azure Dragon Hall for a genius? The old man seemed to still not believe everything in front of him. But then, something that almost drove him crazy happened right before his eyes. That was because the 4 heavenly kings had also arrived, and they were not as polite as the master of the Tantra. You touched my disciple. The fist with rolling constellation clouds blasted out. Bang! The fist smashed into the old man's face, causing the clouds behind him to explode. The old man's nose crooked, and he spat out blood. He pointed at the constellation clouds as if he wanted to say something. Obviously, he did not expect the 4 heavenly kings to be even crazier than the master of the Tantra and attack him directly. You all have rebelled. The old man shouted angrily, but just as he finished speaking, the other 3 heavenly kings also attacked. Their fists and feet collided, collapsing the sky. Rumble. The battle of saints shocked the entire spirit state, causing all the warriors in the spirit state to be dumbfounded. Boom. Chapter 3100. The Era of the Mi and Xian Sects. You guys are really impulsive. Seeing this, the Tantric sect master smiled bitterly. He did not expect the 4 heavenly kings to have such a big reaction. Are you guys crazy? How dare you hit a saint? Not long after, the old man shot up from the ground and glared at the 4 heavenly kings. These 4 old monsters had joined forces to beat him up for a junior. And he was the Azure Dragon Hall saint, the servant of God. I even dare to hit a god, let alone you. Xing Shiyun glared angrily at the old man. He did not treat him as a member of the Azure Dragon Hall at all. After he finished speaking, he rolled up his sleeves and wanted to beat him up again. However, the master of Tantra waved his hand and stopped Xing Shiyun. He looked at the old man and said, Lin Ling is the #1 genius of Tantra. Therefore, even the Azure Dragon Hall has no right to attack him. He killed Dong Men Hong and injured Long Yang. Isn't that enough? The old man said with bloodshot eyes. Hearing this, Lord Tantra and the others were shocked. Evidently, they did not know about this. You have nothing to say, right? Seeing the state of the Vajrayana and the others, the old man shouted coldly. You're not qualified either. However, after being stunned for a moment, the tantric master spoke again. This time, the old man was completely dumbfounded. Although Lin Ling was an extremely dazzling genius of the spirit state, he wasn't precious to this extent. Even if they had to sacrifice Dongmen Hong, they had to protect him. His talent is only slightly lower than Xiang Anning's. He is the #1 genius of Tantric Buddhism and the next realm monarch. Tantric Sama said again. Boom! The elder's heart thumped. The importance that Tantra placed on Lin Ling was beyond his imagination. He said in disbelief, could it be that even your Tantra's Chang Qingzi is inferior to him? Not bad. Master Vajrayana, Xing Shiyun, and the others looked at each other and nodded. As soon as he finished speaking, the old man was completely speechless. Chang Qingzi was the #1 genius of Tantric Buddhism. He received a lot of attention and was also the most qualified junior to become the next master of Tantric Buddhism. But now, Lin Ling was more important than Chang Qingzi. For the sake of Lin Ling, Tantra did not hesitate to confront the Azure Dragon Hall. This allowed the old man to realize that he would absolutely not be able to touch Lin Ling today. I hope you're not mistaken. The old man said indifferently as he caressed his face that was hurting from the slap. Also, Xiang Anning is the true #1 prodigy of the spirit state. He will definitely be back at the Mi and Xian sect ceremony in 3 months. At that time, you will know how powerful he is. Let me remind you again. The Azure Dragon Hall believes that there should only be one divine emperor in the spirit state. The era of the Mi and Xian sects should be over. Take care. The old man left behind a sentence and turned to leave. However, this sentence caused the expressions of the Tantric Master and the others to change. The era of the Mi and Xian sects is over. This meant that in the future, only one of the 2 ancient factions would rule over them, and just like the other continents, there would only be one realm monarch. With the addition of the #1 prodigy of the spirit state, Xiang Anning, they already knew that the Tsang Dragon Hall was planning on making Xian Zong the #1 power. If it was in the past, the Tantric Master would definitely object. However, Xiang Anning's appearance made them realize that the Tsang Dragon Hall was trying to make Xiang Anning the realm monarch. They wanted to object, but they lacked the confidence to do so. Let's go back. The Tantric Master's eyes flashed as he looked at Lin Ling. Lin Ling nodded and left. Everyone left at once. Lin Ling looked at Xing Xian curiously and asked, who is Xiang Anning? This young man has been famous for a long time. He is the #1 prodigy of the spirit state. Now, he is not in the spirit state but is wandering around the 9 continents. I heard that he is doing very well in the 9 continents and has obtained countless honors. We know of many of them, such as the 12 kills of the Flying Dragon organization and the purple gold guest of the 9 continents Fu Xing Manor. However, this young man's goal is not the spirit state, so he is not interested in the position of realm monarch. Of course, that was in the past. Xing Xian explained. From her words, Lin Ling could tell that Xing Xian valued this young man greatly. Most importantly, that Tsang Dragon Hall removed one of the 2 sects for Xiang Anning. This is not good for the Tantric Master. Yes, this decision is also out of our expectations. After all, no matter how strong Xiang Anning is, he will only be one of the realm monarchs in the future. He will only be able to control half of the world in the spirit state. But now, with this decision, many things have changed. Maybe, this is the reason why Xiang Anning returned. Without the position of realm monarch, he doesn't want to stay in the spirit state. The other 3 heavenly kings said one after another. The Azure Dragon Hall clearly wants to announce this decision through the grand ceremony of the 2 sections. At that time, although our Tantric sect will not be disintegrated, we will definitely not be as awe-inspiring as before. Lord Tantric sect also spoke. There was a hint of worry between his brows. So it's just such a small matter. If I trample on Xiang Anning during the ceremony of the two sects, I think they would be too embarrassed to make this decision. At this time, Lin Ling smiled and his words made the tantric master and the others' pupils dilated. Disciple, that is Xiang Anning, the number one genius in the history of the spirit state. Xing Shiyun exclaimed. Lin Ling has been in the spirit state for less than 10 years and he already has the confidence to challenge the number one genius of the spirit state. Without the title of the number one genius, he will not be able to move me, Lin Ling. However, Lin Ling smiled, and his words were bold. Xiang Anning might be amazing, but compared to Li Xiaoyao, who had swept away all the geniuses in the 9 regions, he was just an ant. Furthermore, Lin Ling did not want to stay in the spirit state for too long. Thus, he wanted to use Xiang Anning as a test. If he could defeat him, Lin Ling would also be able to leave the spirit state. "Oh right, teacher, I killed Dong Men Hong and crippled Longyang." Then, Lin Ling told them what happened. Of course, Lin Ling also hid the matter of Li Xiaoyao and the dragon bone he took from Longyang. Dong Men Hong and Longyang are so vicious. Hearing this, Xing Shiyun and the others' faces turned cold. She is really courting death. The tantric master also shouted coldly. Lin Ling was magnanimous and let Dong Men Hong and Longyang go. However, they provoked Lin Ling and almost killed Lin Ling. What was the point of them not dying? Fortunately, my disciple is lucky and has escaped this disaster. Sigh. Xing Shiyun then let out a sigh. She also understood why Lin Ling provoked the Azure Dragon Hall saint. That saint was indeed meddling in other people's business. Anyone would be unhappy. However, Longyang is not simple. She escaped this time. I'm afraid there will be a lot of trouble in the future. Sigh. Thinking of Longyang's blood oath, Lin Ling said with a cold gaze. She should have escaped from the spirit state. Perhaps she will be a nobody in the future. Lin Ling, don't worry. All right. Chapter 3101. Illuminate the Spirit Province. Everyone quickly returned to the valley. The tantric master looked at Lin Ling calmly and suddenly said, "Give all the cultivation resources of the tantric sect to Lin Ling. He must increase his strength again during this period of time." All cultivation resources. TSK, this is a big deal. And there are only 3 months left until the ceremony of the Mi and Xian sections. That's too short. Hearing those words, the expressions of the various heavenly kings instantly changed. Tantric Buddhism was a giant in the spirit state. When all the cultivation resources were gathered together, the amount would definitely be terrifying. It could forcefully turn a normal person into a saint. The 4 heavenly kings even suspected that Lin Ling wouldn't be able to swallow all these cultivation resources. Because they only had 3 months. Lin Ling, do your best. Refine as many cultivation resources as you can. 3 months later, it will be the end of Tantric Buddhism. So, fight with our backs against the wall. The Tantric Sama was still staring at Lin Ling, betting everything on Lin Ling. This was because if Xiang Anning was allowed to rise, then there would be no place for Tantric Buddhism in the spirit state. What about Chongqingzi? Xing Shiyun was extremely touched, but she was also worried. He couldn't just abandon Chongqingzi and focus on nurturing Lin Ling. Moreover, Chongqingzi was a disciple of the Tantric sect. Don't worry, he will understand. The Lord of Tantric Buddhism looked into the distance and said faintly. His words caused Lin Ling's eyes to flash. As Chongqingzi's master, I know him the best. He's the number 1 genius of Tantric Buddhism, but he's still a bit weaker than Xiang Anning. As for Lin Ling, he's growing too fast. He hasn't even been in the spirit province for 10 years. When he first arrived, he defeated the geniuses of the 10 great sects. In a short period of time, he defeated another genius of Tantric Buddhism. After disappearing for a while, he returned and defeated the number 2 genius of Tantric Buddhism, Dongmen Hong. The Tantric Sama was still looking into the distance, but his voice was like a bell, shaking the entire valley. He seemed to be talking to himself, but in truth, he was telling the entire Tantric sect that their sect was at the brink of destruction. And he, the Tantric sect lord, was betting everything on Lin Ling. He believed in Lin Ling. "Alright, we agree." Hearing those words, the 4 heavenly kings puffed out their chests. The Tantric master smiled and looked at Lin Ling. "Lin Ling, are you able to use up all the cultivation resources given to you by the Tantric sect in 3 months? If Lin Ling could consume all of it, it would mean that Lin Ling's strength would increase greatly. However, a martial artist's cultivation was not something that could be improved just by having endless resources. The most crucial factor was time. Instantly, Xing Shiyun and the others turned to look at Lin Ling. "I think it's too little." Lin Ling's lips curled into a smile as he replied calmly. As soon as he said that, the Tantric sect lord was stunned, then laughed heartily. He thought that Lin Ling would say that he would do his best, or that he would definitely be able to consume all of it. However, he did not expect Lin Ling to think that it was too little. Of course, he knew that Lin Ling's words were words of fighting spirit. It was impossible for him to think that it was too little. "Alright then, we look forward to you stepping into the sage state in 3 months. The Tantric sect lord nodded heavily. He did not know that Lin Ling was indeed thinking that it was too little. That was because he had 4 dantians, which meant that 4 people were cultivating. How could the cultivation resources he needed be little? "My dear disciple, do your best. The Tantric sect is also your home. We have high hopes for you." Xing Shiyun looked at Lin Ling seriously. He did not expect that the young man whom he met at the 8 gods' heavenly palace would be the hope of the entire Tantric sect. Moreover, he believed in Lin Ling. That was because when Lin Ling was at the 8 gods' heavenly palace, he could have taken away the dragon's scale, but Lin Ling did not. That meant that Lin Ling was a man of his words. "This is indeed another home of mine, Lin Ling." Hearing Xing Shiyun's words, Lin Ling looked at the group of elders and felt touched. After he came to the spirit state, Xing Shiyun and the others treated him like their own son and did not ask for anything in return. Now that they needed Lin Ling, he, Lin Ling, would definitely shine with all of his brilliance. "I'm in green state, illuminating green state. I'm in spirit state, illuminating spirit state." Lin Ling looked at the entire valley. He knew that everyone in the Tantric sect was listening to their conversation. Illuminating spirit state. As soon as he said that, everyone in the Tantric sect felt a surge of excitement. "Brother Ling." In the corner of the valley, Yu and the others laughed. They were proud of Lin Ling. Illuminating spirit state. Meng Lu and Sakura looked at each other, and a heroic smile hung on their lips. It's a matter of life and death for the Tantric sect. Senior Brother Lin is going to challenge the number 1 genius of the spirit state, Senior Brother Xiang. Because of Senior Brother Xiang's existence, although the Tantric sect seems to be on par with the prominent sect, we're actually 1 level lower. If Lin Ling can surpass Senior Brother Xiang, the Tantric sect will be able to hold our heads high. After 1,000 years, the Tantric sect finally has someone who can challenge Senior Brother Xiang. In every corner of the Tantric sect, the elders were talking excitedly. Although they were currently more powerful than Xiang Anning, they had reached their limits and could not break through anymore. If there were no accidents, Xiang Anning would definitely surpass them in the future. Therefore, they were looking forward to Lin Ling illuminating the spirit state. Lin Ling, huh? In another corner of the valley, a young man looked into the distance with his hands behind his back. He was the number 1 genius of the Tantric sect, Chongqingzi. Right now, all of the Tantric sect's cultivation resources were piled up on Lin Ling. Even his was the same. It was impossible for him not to have any thoughts about it. However, he did not dare to disobey the Tantric sect's orders. He only hoped that Lin Ling would not disappoint him. I'll see Xiang Anning in 3 months. I hope you won't underestimate him. In the following days, everyone began to wait for the grand ceremony of the Tantric sect and the prominent sect. Moreover, the news spread like the wind, letting the entire spirit state know that the era of the Tantric sect and the prominent sect was over. The spirit state was going to change. Everyone was wondering which of the Tantric sect and the prominent sect would remain. Of course, many people had high hopes for Xiang Anning. After all, the latter had been the #1 genius of the spirit state for thousands of years. Although Lin Ling appeared out of nowhere, his foundation was definitely much weaker. Looks like the Tantric sect is also struggling before death. In the prominent sect, the elites also knew about the Tantric sect's big move. Is the Tantric sect's master stupid? Instead of placing his hopes on his own disciple, he believes in a rising star. Does he think that 3 months can change anything? Maybe it's just a broken jar. Right, that guy called Lin Ling, what's his cultivation level? I heard that he's a martial celestial. Haha, he's not even a half-sage. How dare he compete with Xiang Anning? Looks like it's time for the prominent sect to rise. After the prominent sect learned about this, they clearly thought that victory was in their hands. Even the Azure Dragon Hall thought so. Chapter 3102. Cultivate Together. In my opinion, we should cancel the era of the secret and manifestation sects. The Tantric sect has been passed down for countless years. Sigh, but in the end, they made such a choice. The Azure Dragon Hall's saints sighed. Of course, there were also those who were gloating. While the entire spirit state was paying attention, Lin Ling and the rest had also entered seclusion to cultivate. Big brother, the Tantric sect has already given me all the cultivation resources. Take whatever you need. Lin Ling looked at Sakura and Meng Lu and said. They were currently under the ancient tree of Mount Yu. Only they could enter this place. This showed how much importance the Tantric sect placed on them. That won't do. These cultivation resources were given to you by the Tantric sect. They are the hope of the Tantric sect. Yeah, Lin Ling, you don't have to care about us. Sakura and the rest immediately waved their hands. To be honest, these cultivation resources are still too little. That's why I'm sharing some with you. Even if I use all of them for cultivation, it won't be of much help. Lin Ling smiled and shook his head. Could it be that you are a bottomless pit? Sakura shook his head helplessly. No wonder Lin Ling was always able to fight above his level. It turned out that the cultivation resources he used were several times more than others. Most importantly, the ancient tree of Mount Yu is more precious than many cultivation resources. According to my estimates, if you can get close to the ancient tree, the effects of your cultivation will be tens of thousands of times better than outside. Lin Ling said again. Sakura and the rest immediately nodded when they heard Lin Ling's words. Yu Yu and Xian Yuan Gu, were also here. Therefore, Lin Ling looked at Yu Yu and the rest and said, I happen to have an ultimate desolate body here. It's very suitable for women. Who wants it? Ultimate desolate body? Meng Lu gasped when he heard that. He came from the 9 states 10 vicious and naturally knew what kind of existence it was. It could be said that if an ultimate desolate body was born, as long as one's realm increased, no one in the same realm would be a match. Unless one was a genius like Lin Ling who had endless trump cards. Give it to Sister Yu Yu. Go, you do it. Yu Yu and the others glanced at each other and began to decline. Finally, Lin Ling looked at Yu Yu and said, You don't have to decline, because I feel that this ultimate desolate body is more suitable for Yu Yu. Of course, if there's a chance in the future, I will also find a new ultimate desolate body for Gu. If that's the case, then we can only follow Brother Ling's wishes. Hearing this, she nodded faintly. Next, Lin Ling also began to break the natural barrier of the ancient tree of Mount Yu. This time, he had a large amount of cultivation resources. He could lay down his own barrier and break the barrier with a barrier. Even so, it was still an eye-opener for Lin Ling. He was amazed by the natural enchantment of chaos around the universe. Time quietly passed just like that. 10 days later, Lin Ling had already cracked the third ring. The spiritual energy here was as dense as water, and it was the most ancient spiritual energy in the universe. This made Sakura and company overjoyed as they entered the place to cultivate. At the same time, Lin Ling also injected the clean bone he had obtained from Longyang into Yu Yu's body. And this ultimate desolate body was possessed by the dragon race's god. It was also known as the ultimate dragon god. And this was the skeleton of the dragon god of light. At the same time, Lin Ling was also shocked by the ancient power of the god. Things from the era of the gods contained the most ancient power of the universe's chaos. It was not something that the martial arts of the present could resist. This power contained the universe's origins and laws. It was the Lord of all things and worlds. After the dragon bone was completely injected, Lin Ling also began to cultivate. He knew that when Yu Yu woke up, Yu Yu would definitely be reborn. There are so many cultivation resources. It actually has dragon whiskers and dragon claws. Lin Ling checked the cultivation resources and could not help but smile. Following that, he began to refine them. He had the dragon bone. If he added the dragon race's dragon god's item, then the dragon bone could be upgraded again. Moreover, there were many rare physical body cultivation items among the cultivation resources. Lin Ling also used them one by one to cultivate. This was also the most luxurious he had ever been since he started learning martial arts. Whatever he wanted, he had it. Moreover, Lin Ling sensed that the time was getting shorter and shorter. He might as well refine all the cultivation resources. This was cultivating all at once. The advantage was that if there was an external force, the domains would also completely erupt. Cultivating essence, energy, and spirit was absolutely an all-round improvement. The disadvantage was that the cultivation realm at the beginning was the same as before. Moreover, it would be difficult to familiarize oneself with one's strength. While Lin Ling allowed the cultivation resources to be refined, he was also comprehending martial arts. The first was the illusion god True Inheritance. His soul force was slowly improving with the help of the cultivation resources. The ancient illusion god was also floating in his mind. In the illusory world, what was true was false, and what was false was true. In the illusory world, Lin Ling was like a god. Whatever he wanted, he had it. Time is getting shorter and shorter. Let's start cultivating the great calamity destroying Sun Bao. After his soul force improved greatly, Lin Ling also started cultivating the 8 divine abilities of the dragon clan. A dragon roared and a new dragon Bao appeared. It was actually 5 meters long and majestic. Moreover, he could shoot 2 arrows at once. One of the arrows was formed by the True Inheritance nether sword, greatly increasing its power. With Lin Ling's current strength, he could fight against a 4th layer half-saint. However, if he went all out, he was confident that he could defeat all 4th layer half-saint. Moreover, this was the state where he had yet to break through. If he broke through, his strength would be unimaginable. Time quietly passed. 3 months had passed. At this moment, in the Tantric sect, a large number of people had gathered in the valley. Yu Yu, Sakura, and the others were among them. Yu Yu had reached the 4th layer of the martial immortal realm, and Xian Yuan Gu had reached the 2nd layer of the martial immortal realm. Their improvements were extremely obvious. After all, when they were in the Azure province, they had only just stepped into the martial immortal realm. Sakura and Xian Yuan Gu's aura was extraordinary. They had officially stepped into the half-saint realm. Their sage light was extremely dense. Sakura's half-saint light gave off an extremely domineering feeling. It was clearly much stronger than ordinary half-saint realm experts. As for Meng Lu, he gave off a gloomy and cold feeling. Getting close to him felt like entering a grave. That's right. From their half-saint light, they are clearly stronger than ordinary half-saint realm experts. The tantric sect's lords looked at Sakura and the others and secretly nodded. Ordinary initial stage half-saint realm experts would find it difficult to detect the half-saint light unless they were exceptional geniuses. They have made such great improvements. What about my disciple? Xian Shiyun suddenly said with anticipation. The eyes of the tantric sect's lords flickered. Time is running out. If Lin Ling still doesn't come out, I'm afraid we will be late. Xian Zong will also say that we have forfeited and tacitly admit that Xian Zong is above us. The tantric sect's lords looked into the distance and frowned. However, at this moment, in the valley, a slender figure slowly walked out. Blue robe, 2 swords, unforgettable. Lin Ling had come out of seclusion. At this moment, the tantric sect's members became nervous. Moreover, as the young man in front of them walked, they felt as if they saw the arrival of a god. Every step he took was stepping on their hearts. The tantric sect's lord smiled excitedly. Lin Ling should have greatly improved his strength. Chapter 3103. Gathering at the Plains. Lin Ling, are you still at the 8th stage of the martial arts realm? The tantric sect's master was shocked and asked anxiously. For now. Lin Ling glanced at the crowd and nodded with a smile. However, his words caused the tantric sect to fall silent. Lin Ling still had not broken through after using all the resources. His progress was even slower than Sakura and the others. This made everyone feel very uncomfortable. Meanwhile, Chang Qingzi's expectant expression turned into a long sigh. It seemed like his master had made the wrong bet. Lin Ling naturally saw the looks on everyone's faces, but he didn't mind it and smiled. Because he had said temporarily before, because in the next moment, he might be able to break through the realm and arrive at a new world. The reason was that he had refined all the cultivation resources at once, causing his dantian to be in a strange state. It was as if he had accumulated enough energy for a breakthrough. The eruption of one lode was definitely no small matter. Let's go. They've been waiting for us for a long time. This time, we won't disappoint them. Lin Ling said calmly. Let's go. The tantric sect's master nodded. Although he was a little disappointed, he had a feeling that Lin Ling was not as simple as he seemed. This was not the first time something like this had happened. Lin Ling nodded as well. Before the tantric sect's master moved forward, he had already taken Yu Yu and Qianqian's hands and led the way into the sky. The people of the tantric sect were in an uproar. They did not expect Lin Ling, who was only at the 8th stage of the martial immortal realm, to be so confident. Ha! Xing Shiyun could not help but laugh and catch up to Lin Ling. The others did the same one after another. In the sky, his blue robe was fluttering. His steps were steady as he walked forward. As he walked, an invisible wind spread as if telling the spirit province that wherever he, Lin Ling, was, that place was the sky. Beside him, Yu Yu and the others smiled. Lin Ling gave them a sense of familiarity. That's right. He was Lin Ling, who ruled the Heaven Mystics Kingdom. He was also Lin Ling, who ruled the sacred land of the rainforest. He was the Lin Ling who illuminated Qingzhou. Right now, this light had quietly arrived in spirit state and illuminated the land. Brother Ling, it seems like Li Xiaoyao has returned. Xian Yuangu couldn't help but smile as he looked at the imposing figure beside him. When Lin Ling had the courage to dominate everything, he would be like Li Xiaoyao, free and unfettered in the world. Yeah, second brother gives me the feeling as if I've returned to the rainforest sacred land. Sakura also smiled. Li Xiaoyao? Who was this? However, Lin Ling is only at the 8th level of the martial immortal realm. Today's ceremony will be somewhat troublesome. Meng Lu had only met Lin Ling in the Azure province. Thus, he did not know about Li Xiaoyao. Humph. You're merely a nameless genius of the 9 prefectures. What qualifications do you have to compete with my second brother? A genius cannot be insulted. Hearing this, Indra snorted in disdain. His words stunned Meng Lu. Indra was so confident in Lin Ling. He couldn't help but shake his head. The confidence in his heart was not strong. How could he know that with the help of Longyang and Dongman Hong's divine poison, Lin Ling had allowed Li Xiaoyao to return from his previous life and gather all of his memories? Thus, his aura was naturally not weak. Of course, it wasn't just Meng Lu. In fact, many people in the Tantric sect did not believe in Lin Ling, especially Chang Qingzi. If he can't win any of these 2 sect ceremonies, then Master will probably die with everlasting regret. Sigh, it's better to believe in one's own people than an outsider. Chang Qingzi sighed. Not long after, everyone arrived at the center of the plain. There were ancient ruins here. The ground was made of hard jade that could withstand the impact of a half-step saint. In the distance, the surroundings were packed with people at this moment. All the cultivators in the spirit state were watching from afar. They were densely packed like stalks of grass. The Tantric sect is here. The era of the Tantric and Manifest sects will depend on today. I feel that the Tantric sect is the future of the spirit state. The Manifest sect is still a bit weak. Ignorant. It seems like you don't know what kind of people the Manifest sect has. Let me give you an example. The disciple of the Heavenly King, Lin Ling, is very powerful, right? He's a big shot in the spirit state. However, the number 1 genius of the Manifest sect doesn't seem to be famous. In fact, he's already a tyrant in the 9 states. The 2 of them aren't on the same level at all. So what if it's the 9 states? How can you be sure that the spirit state is weaker than the 9 states? I don't care to explain it to you. Go back and think about it. Voices sounded like waves. Everyone's emotions were high and their blood was boiling. The people of the Tantric sect are here. That's Lin Ling and Chang Qingzi. In the ancient ruins, 18 old men looked at the sky. Their gazes fell on Lin Ling and Chang Qingzi because those 2 were the hope of the Tantric sect. One is at the 8th level of the martial immortal realm, and the other is at the 4th level of the half-step saint realm. An old man frowned. He wasn't surprised that Chang Qingzi was at the 4th level of the half-step saint realm. However, Lin Ling was only at the 8th level of the martial immortal realm. This caused the elders to be stunned. And they were the saints of the Azure Dragon Hall. As for the Manifest sect, everyone stared at Lin Ling and Chang Qingzi in astonishment. 8th level of the martial immortal realm. What a joke. It was simply a dream to participate in the ceremony with such strength. It seems that we've been deceived. Lin Ling isn't the trump card of the Tantric sect. In the Manifest sect, a middle-aged man said calmly. He wore a dragon python robe and looked majestic. The light of a saint was extremely dense. He was Lord Xianzong. I think so too. Because apart from Chang Qingzi, the others are all in the semi-saint realm. Lin Ling is the weakest. This means that Lin Ling isn't the trump card of Tantra at all. He was just a smokescreen that Tantra spread before. Next to the middle-aged man, a fair-skinned young man dressed like a scholar said. Although he was handsome and gave off a feminine feeling, his aura was a little cold. This kind of coldness wasn't callousness but a kind of sinister coldness. And he was the number 1 genius of the Manifest sect, Xiang Anning. At the same time, the people of the Tantric sect landed and looked at the Manifest sect. The master of the Tantric sect cupped his fists and bowed to Lord Manifest sect from afar. The latter did the same and greeted him politely. Of course, while Lord Manifest Sect was being polite, he was also smiling coldly. The master of the Tantric sect naturally saw this smile but did not say anything. That was because the trump card of the Tantric sect, Lin Ling, did not make him very confident. This is Lin Ling, right? 8th level of the martial immortal realm. He dares to fight with such strength? It seems that the Tantric sect has other plans. At this moment, in the Manifest sect, a short but extremely burly young man laughed disdainfully. He obviously did not take Lin Ling seriously. He thought that the Tantric sect was hiding a trump card and that it was some other powerful genius. This young man was called Zhang Qinghong. He was the number 2 genius of the Manifest sect and also a big shot of the spirit state. Hearing this, the people of the Tantric sect sneered. Sakura and Meng Lu naturally did not want to be at a disadvantage. However, before they could speak, Lin Ling also spoke, so what if he's an 8th level of the martial immortal realm? My world is not something you can understand. As for that little guy at the 5th level of the half-step saint realm, this should be Xiang Anning. He's indeed stronger than I thought, but that's it. Yes. If it was before, Lin Ling would definitely have a hard time defeating a 5th level of the half-step saint realm. But now, he did not care. Chapter 3104. The Clash of the Five would change the era. My world is not something you can understand. If these words came from the mouth of a half-martial sacred realm expert, they were convinced. However, when it came from an 8th-layer martial immortal, they felt like it was a joke. Most importantly, the 8th-layer martial immortal had said it so naturally, as if everything was real. This Lin Ling seems to be a smokescreen sent out by the Tantric sect. Why is he so confident as a smokescreen? Wow! The entire grassland was soon filled with exclamations. The people of the prominent sect burst out laughing after being stunned. The geniuses ranked 1st and 2nd did not even look at Lin Ling. Instead, they focused their attention on Sakura and Meng Lu, assuming them to be the trump cards of the Tantric sect. Sigh, do you really have to embarrass yourself? Chang Qingzi let out a sigh once again. If it weren't for his master, he would have scolded Lin Ling. Master, let's begin. I'll do my best in this battle. Following this, Chang Qingzi said to the senior of the Tantric sect. He had already treated himself as the last hope of the Tantric sect. Let's begin. The senior of the Tantric sect immediately glanced at the Azure Dragon Hall. If that's the case, the Azure Dragon Hall will not waste any more time. The winner of today's battle will become the strongest sect of the spirit state. A respectable old man from the Azure Dragon Hall said. He had initially planned to help the Tantric sect, but after seeing the Tantric sect digging their own grave, he decided not to waste any more time. The 2 sects can send out 5 people, and the loser will be eliminated. The one who defeats the 5 will decide the era. Any objections? No objections. I agree. Agreed. The seniors of the prominent sect and the Tantric sect nodded. Very well, but this is a duel, no killing is allowed. I hope you remember. Agreed. The Azure Dragon Hall was the sacred ground responsible for protecting the Emperor's life, thus they had made the request. Not long after, a 2nd-layer half-martial sacred stepped forward from the prominent sect. The genius of the prominent sect, the Immortal Highness of the North Sea, who had cultivated for 2,000 years and possessed a 2nd-grade desolate body with 4/10 of his strength. He stood in the ruins and reached out his right hand with his index finger, beckoning the people of the Tantric sect. His attitude was no doubt extremely arrogant. Perhaps he also assumed the Tantric sect. How dare you? Chang Qingzi was instantly enraged and wanted to walk out. Senior brother Chang Qingzi, let's go first. But at this moment, Meng Lu spoke up, causing Chang Qingzi to frown. In fact, he didn't really believe in Meng Lu and Indra. He felt that Lin Ling's friends weren't that strong. The North Sea Immortal Venerable is not weak, and his cultivation level is higher than yours. Although you can also fight against those of a higher level, this advantage does not exist in the face of a prominent Grandmaster prodigy. Although Chang Qingzi did not believe in Meng Lu, they were on the same side, so he still warned him. It's fine. We eat and live in Tantric Buddhism. We have to do something no matter what. Meng Lu said without even looking at Chang Qingzi. Chang Qingzi nodded. Lin Ling's friends were not that strong, but their personalities were not bad. Go. Master Tantra nodded as well. Meng Lu immediately walked out. The North Sea Immortal Venerable narrowed his eyes and stared at Meng Lu with disdain. First layer of half-saint. Don't you think you're too weak? Defeating you won't be a problem. The two of them looked at each other. Their figures approached from afar, and then they collided. On the surface, Meng Lu was clearly weaker, so no one thought that he could win. However, Meng Lu was only a martial immortal when he first came to the Spirit Province. For him to be able to reach the half-saint realm in such a short period of time, it could be seen that his talent was not weak. So, even if he lost, the Tantric Buddhism did not think that he was trash. Meng Lu won. Lin Ling glanced at it indifferently, then closed his eyes and began to cultivate again. How could it be so simple? Hearing Lin Ling's words, Chang Qingzi frowned. Moreover, seeing that Lin Ling was actually cultivating, a trace of displeasure rose in his heart. All the resources he had accumulated were only at the 8th layer of the martial immortal realm. Just thinking about it made one's heart ache. How could he know that when Lin Ling cultivated, not only did he have to break the barrier of the ancient tree of Mount Yu, he also had to help Sakura and Yu cultivate. After that, it would be his turn. How could 3 months be enough? So, he had to seize the time and break through as soon as possible. Boom! At the same time, the ruins rumbled, and the gods and demons descended. A third-grade desolate body, and what kind of desolate body is that? A figure flew out. It was the North Sea Immortal of the Xian sect. I admit defeat. Soon, a voice came from the Xian sect, admitting defeat for the North Sea Immortal. Because if the latter was injured, it would be even more disadvantageous. Also, because the 5 people of the Tantric Buddhism had come out, they had to defeat all 5 people of the Xian sect. Only then could they seize the era. Next. Meng Lu said indifferently. Boom. Next, a young man holding a horsetail whisk walked out. He had the demeanor of a transcendent being. Moreover, after he walked out, his eyes were still half closed, as if he was an expert from another world. The horsetail whisk in his hand was clearly extraordinary. It was surging with celestial wind. It was a kind of divine wind that seemed to come from the universe. This is a treasure left behind from the era of gods. The Tantric Buddhism master immediately narrowed his eyes. That Xian sect genius talent was on par with Meng Lu's. What was powerful was the horsetail whisk in his hand. That horsetail whisk clearly restrained Meng Lu's tomb-guarding aura, making it difficult for Meng Lu to fight back. That was because immortals and ghosts could not coexist. Gradually, Meng Lu was defeated. Ha! Loud laughter came from the Xian sect's side. Of course, the laughter wasn't too exaggerated because they also knew that the geniuses who had come out earlier were only there to scout out the enemy's situation. The stronger ones were yet to come. Xian sect has won. It's your turn to fight. Do you want to change people or not? A voice came from the Azure Dragon Hall. I'll continue to fight. The young man holding the horsetail whisk said indifferently. He had already defeated 1 person. If he defeated 4 more people, the Xian sect would win. Sakura, that horsetail whisk also restrains your white bones. You're not suitable to fight. Meng Lu said to Sakura. Sakura originally wanted to fight, but he held back. As for the 2 of them, one was defeated and the other couldn't fight. They could only rely on Lin Ling and Chang Qingzi. Chang Qingzi frowned and wanted to walk out. Hold on, let my wife warm up. But at this moment, Lin Ling slowly opened his eyes and said. Let your wife go. Are you still a man? You're afraid of losing face on such an important occasion, so you let a woman go. Chang Qingzi couldn't hold it in anymore. Lin Ling looked at him indifferently and said, My wife is only warming up. If it weren't for the fact that her cultivation level is lower, she would be able to defeat all 5 of them. As for me, after I go, you won't even have the chance to fight. You. Chang Qingzi didn't expect Lin Ling, an 8th-layer martial immortal, to be so arrogant. Do as Lin Ling says. However, the Tantric sex lord still valued Lin Ling, so he said to Chang Qingzi. Master. Chang Qingzi sighed, feeling very unwilling. However, Yu Yu had already walked out. Lin Ling said, Yu Yu, apart from that guy called Xiang Anning, you don't have to worry about the others. If you get serious, the other 4 won't be your match. When these words were spoken, the entire plain fell silent. It was undeniable that Yu Yu was very beautiful. Many people were attracted to her. Chapter 3105. The ultimate desolate body swept through everything. Lin Ling, who is your wife's master? You have to know that a 5-person battle is of great importance. Her battle means that she has secured a spot. Chang Qingzi looked at Lin Ling and said. This was naturally his first time seeing Yu Yu. Although she was pretty, that did not mean she was strong. Her master is me. Lin Ling said without looking at him. Chang Qingzi opened his mouth but was speechless. Lin Ling was at the 8th stage of the martial immortal realm, while Yu Yu was at the half-sage realm. The weak became the master of the strong. He could not help but look at Xingxiu Yun with an odd expression. He could not understand what kind of disciple Xingxiu Yun had recruited. Even Xingxiu Yun gave a wry smile. Although he had given Yu Yu plenty of pointers, Yu Yu typically did not listen to him. Instead, she would often pester Lin Ling. As for Lin Ling, there was no need to mention him. This disciple had always been independent and rarely sought his guidance. Beauty, you are no match for me. After Yu Yu walked out, the youth with the horsetail whisk shook his head and said. In his opinion, Yu Yu was even weaker than Meng Lu. I'll give you 3 breaths of time. Otherwise, don't blame me for being ruthless. The youth said again. Yu Yu did not say a word. She walked forward like a lotus that had just emerged from the water, refreshing and refined. Just as the youth was about to attack, Yu Yu attacked as well. Her attack was extremely simple and even her ultimate martial Tao was extremely weak. However, the effect was extremely obvious. That was because the ultimate desolate body had descended. The white dragon god appeared in a shocking manner, its light illuminating the surroundings. At that moment, Yu Yu's fine black hair danced in the wind. Her beauty was suffocating, pure and flawless. With a gentle wave of her hand, ordinary half-sage realm essence surged out. However, after fusing with the ultimate desolate body, it immediately became an unimaginable power. Boom! The youth's horsetail whisk was immediately sent flying and smashed into the ground. He spat out blood as he looked at the beauty in disbelief. The entire plain was deathly silent at this moment. Yu, you even used your trump card against such a trash. Aren't you giving him too much face? Only Lin Ling's voice could be heard. He seemed to think that Yu was overdoing it. Your disciple. Chang Qingzi was flabbergasted and couldn't believe his eyes. Ultimate desolate body. Their esoteric Buddhism actually possessed the ultimate desolate body. One had to know that in the 9 prefectures, there were only a handful of geniuses with such talent. It was rare to see one in their entire lives. Ultimate desolate physique. The master of Tantra and the others were stunned as well. At that moment, they all saw Yu Yu as the final trump card of Tantra. Although Lin Ling was not of much use in this battle, Yu Yu was trained by Lin Ling. This meant that for the past 3 months, Lin Ling had placed the hopes of Tantric Buddhism on Yu Yu. And this hope did not disappoint them. The ultimate desolate body. After Xingxiu Yun recovered from his shock, he could not help but laugh out loud. The ultimate desolate body is a rare talent even in the 9 prefectures. Master, the ultimate desolate body is not rare. However, ordinary people cannot enter that world. In fact, the 9 prefectures are filled with ultimate desolate bodies. If one had to say who had the calmest reaction, it would be Lin Ling. Upon hearing this, Xingxiu Yun was dumbfounded. Why did it feel like his disciple was giving him pointers? He was speechless, but he could not care less as he laughed out loud. This is the trump card of Tantric Buddhism. Over at Xian Zong's side, everyone had extremely solemn expressions. Next. At the same time, a clear voice sounded. Yu Yu floated in mid-air and made an inviting gesture to Xian Zong. Xian Zong was completely silent. There was no longer the arrogant laughter from before. Let me test him. Senior brother Xiang, you are our final trump card. Do not fight for now. At this moment, Zhang Qinghong, who was ranked second, walked out. He held a sword in his hand and his sword beam was like a rainbow. Clearly, he was a powerful swordsman. And his talent was also at the desolate body grade. Behind him hung 12 rainbows. He had the power of 12 gods. I have 3 swords that will run through my entire life. If you can block them, I will admit defeat. Zhang Qinghong said calmly as he pointed his sword at Yu Yu. Yu Yu nodded and did not speak any nonsense. First sword, Pil Yang Swallow Shock. The sword beam flashed as 40% of the azure rainbow's rank power erupted. It was like the power of a god. His talent was a 3rd-grade desolate body. It was not very strong and could only be considered average. However, his ultimate martial Dao was extremely powerful. It had reached the realm of a complete Dao, which was already a minor Dao. Rumble. In terms of ultimate martial Dao, Yu Yu was clearly inferior to him. Hence, her method was very simple. It was to use her talent to fight. At this moment, the power of rank and talent clashed once again. A terrifying power erupted. The plane seemed to be overturned, but Yu Yu was safe and sound. The terror of the ultimate desolate body was an eye-opener for everyone. Second sword, first azure dust. Dust danced in the sky like flying immortals. Upon closer inspection, the young dust was actually formed by swords. This sword seemed to come from the chaos of the universe. The entire sky of the spirit state exploded. Zhang Qinghong was also known as the #1 swordsman in the spirit state. At this moment, he lived up to his name. Yu Yu struggled to block the second sword. Her body glowed brightly like the goddess of light, but she was also protected by the dragon god. The dragon god roared at the sky and soared into the sky. The surrounding Jianchen finally managed to block the sword by a hair's breadth. This made Zhang Qinghong's expression change drastically. The third sword was not delivered in the end. I admit defeat. Following that, he turned and left. This also made the Xian sect's people change their expressions. Zhang Qinghong was the #2 peerless genius. Now that he had lost, it was up to Xiang Anning. If Xiang Anning also lost, the Xian sect would lose today. This result had clearly exceeded their expectations. The Tantric sect side was undoubtedly invigorated. Cheers immediately sounded like waves. Good, good, good. Chang Qingzi said with a red face. He was extremely excited. He looked at Yu Yu with admiration and longing in his eyes. Of course, he knew that Yu Yu was Lin Ling's woman, so he could only envy her secretly. He said with a sigh. The ultimate desolate body was actually the wife of an 8th-level martial immortal. She was not worthy at all. Although there are 5 battles, if Xiang Anning loses, the others will be useless. This means that the most crucial battle has arrived. Our tantric sect will win. Even the tantric sect's masters were extremely excited. Xiang Anning frowned as he looked at Yu Yu. His eyes were the same as Changqingzi's. There was longing in his eyes. He also thought to himself, such a beautiful goddess should be compatible with me, the number 1 genius of the spirit state. He walked out. He planned to use his strength to show Yu Yu who was the number 1 genius of the spirit state. Yu Yu, admit defeat. You just obtained the ultimate desolate body and are not familiar with it. You can't fight someone 4 stages above you. Just as everyone was filled with anticipation, Lin Ling's calm voice suddenly floated out. The tantric sect instantly panicked. The eyes of the tantric sect's masters also turned red. Chapter 3106. Changqingzi was defeated. As for Xiang Anning, his eyes had also turned red. He had wanted to prove himself, but in the end, Yu Yu was going to admit defeat without even fighting. How would that beauty know how powerful he was? Brother Ling. Yu Yu wanted to test her limits. The gap between our realms is too big. Come back. Lin Ling said with a smile. Yu Yu's methods were too simple. She only knew how to suppress with her talent. She was definitely no match for Xiang Anning. There's a gap of 4 small realms. It's difficult for you to win. After all, you're not me. Lin Ling said. His words made the plain even more silent. Lin Ling was only at the 8th stage of the martial immortal realm. Everyone had already eliminated him. Yet, he said that he was qualified to fight someone who was 4 levels above him. His skin was too thick. No, not 4 levels. It was 6 levels. Pfft. When Xing Xian heard that, he almost burst out laughing. His disciple seemed to be low-key, but his words were so arrogant that it made people speechless. All right. Yu Yu immediately retreated. Xiang Anning looked regretful. He glared at Lin Ling with hatred. Finally, he snorted and left. Although he had won, he did not feel comfortable winning. When he looked at the tantric sect and Changqingzi, they looked like ducks who had been grabbed by the neck. They looked anxious. Tantric sect had almost won. However, Lin Ling actually asked Yu Yu to admit defeat in the most crucial battle. This was too casual, too careless. After Yu Yu admitted defeat, Tantric sect no longer had a trump card. Could they rely on Lin Ling? Don't worry. They can't do anything. Lin Ling couldn't help but comfort them when he saw how anxious they were. But it would have been better if they didn't comfort him. The more they comforted him, the more they sighed. Although Xian Zong really couldn't make any big waves, Lin Ling probably couldn't make any small waves either. Ha, we've won. Next. At this moment, Xian Zong seemed to have victory in his grasp, and everyone laughed loudly. Only Changqingzi and Lin Ling from Vajrayana sect could still fight. Lin Ling was ignored by everyone, so the only one left was Changqingzi. Big brother, do you want to go play? Lin Ling looked at Sakura and said, which made Sakura restless. He had been waiting for a long time. Let me. Changqingzi clearly didn't think that Sakura could change anything, so he took the initiative to walk out. If I lose, then the era will change. Changqingzi's expression was extremely solemn. His aura quietly erupted from his body. The entire tantric sect fell silent. They had placed all their hopes on Changqingzi. Changqingzi was the number 1 genius of Tantra. If he was defeated, what right did the others have to fight? Have you finally revealed your final trump card? The eyes of the experts on Xian Zong's side flashed. Master Xian Zong waved his hand and the North Sea venerable immortal Meng Lu who'd been defeated by Meng Lu walked out. You are no match for me. Chang Qingzi looked at him and said indifferently. What he said was the truth. I know, but you have to defeat the 5 of us to win. Therefore, I won't let you win so easily. Of course, it's the same for our senior brother Xiang. If he wants to defeat the 5 of you, you won't let him win so easily. However, the beauty from before has admitted defeat. You are the most powerful one left. The rest are not worth mentioning. The young man said indifferently. Then let's fight. Chang Qingzi nodded immediately. The young man's words made sense. He could only defeat him. The 2 of them quickly intertwined. It was like a battle between saints. It was an eye-opener for the warriors watching from afar. However, Chang Qingzi had a 4th-grade desolate body. His ancient desolate qi was extremely terrifying. In addition, he was a 4th-grade half-saint. Therefore, it didn't take long for him to defeat the young man. The young man was slightly injured. He left with blood at the corner of his mouth. However, he smiled excitedly. With your strength, you won't be able to see senior brother Xiang. That's not up to you. Chang Qingzi said disdainfully. He looked at the second person from the Xian Zong. The second person was the young man with the horsetail whisk. He didn't waste any time and attacked Chang Qingzi with all his strength. He wouldn't let Chang Qingzi win so easily. Moreover, the Xian Zong could see Chang Qingzi's strength through this battle. A moment later, the young man with the horsetail whisk was defeated. The third person followed closely behind. This also raised the spirits of the people from the Tantric sect. Chang Qingzi was winning consecutively. Perhaps he could defeat the 5 from the Xian Zong in one go. The third person had clearly expended a lot of Chang Qingzi's strength, but Chang Qingzi won again. Chang Qingzi is inferior to me. At this moment, the second person from the Xian Zong, Zhang Qinghong, finally smiled. Through the previous 3 people, he had confirmed Chang Qingzi's strength. Senior brother Xiang, you don't have to go. I'll defeat him. Zhang Qinghong held his sword and walked out. He was full of confidence. Chang Qingzi was also waiting for his opponent's 3 swords. Waning Sun's return. After Zhang Qinghong appeared, he raised his sword high. The sky darkened. The terrifying power of cultivation level crazily increased. It reached 40% and gradually reached 50%. A ray of light surged down from the dark sky. It was as if a ray of sunlight shone down from the thick clouds, but it was extremely dazzling. It was like the sword of a god. Look, there's a sword coming from the chaos. Someone finally let out a cry of surprise. The third sword shocked the spirit state. That sword came from the chaos of the universe. It had the power of thunder and revealed its sharpness. Whoosh! This sword cut off Chang Qingzi's right arm, causing him to vomit blood and retreat. Chang Qingzi, you haven't improved your strength all these years, but this is normal. The Tantric sect has given all their cultivation resources to others, so you naturally haven't improved. Zhang Qinghong pointed his sword at Chang Qingzi and said. His long hair danced wildly, and he looked like a peerless swordsman in the spirit state. Thud thud thud. Chang Qingzi kept retreating. He was defeated, and his face was pale and dispirited. Most importantly, after he lost, the Tantric sect also lost. The era had changed. Master. He returned to the Tantric sect's master and knelt down. The Tantric sect's master sighed. At this moment, he seemed to have aged a lot. The people of the Tantric sect were all gloomy. They knew that their era had passed. Brother, it's your turn to go out and play. However, at this moment, an indifferent voice suddenly sounded from the Tantric sect. It was Lin Ling's voice. This caused the pupils of the people of the Tantric sect to narrow. At this time, Lin Ling could still remain so calm. Could it be that he didn't care about the survival of the Tantric sect at all? This is the Lin Ling who used all the cultivation resources of the Tantric sect. On the Xian sect's side, everyone naturally laughed. They felt that the Tantric sect had lost the bet, and lost miserably. Because even if you used all the cultivation resources on a dog, it would at least wag its tail. However, when it was used on Lin Ling, not only did he not wag his tail, but he also had a look of indifference. Such a disciple would definitely anger the Tantric sect to death. All right. Sakura didn't seem to know that everyone was laughing at him. He walked out calmly. Even Chang Qingzi has lost. Do you think you can turn the tide? No one was optimistic about Sakura. The people of the Xian sect all said disdainfully. Chapter 3107. A genius should not be humiliated. Big brother, just warm up a little. With your strength, you shouldn't be able to win against that Qinghong. However, just as the Vajrayana's hope rose, Lin Ling spoke again. To warm up. Lin Ling actually treated this grand ceremony as a game. At this moment, other than Xingqiu Yun, everyone from Tantric Buddhism hated Lin Ling to the core. And the reality was indeed so, because after Sakura swept through the three of them, he was finally defeated by Zhang Qinghong. Moreover, Sakura didn't feel ashamed, because he hadn't even been in the Spirit Province for 10 years, but he was already able to fight against the strongest genius of the Spirit Province. This made him very satisfied. Ha! He laughed heartily as he walked back, reminiscing about the previous battle. However, the Tantric sect could no longer laugh. Everyone lowered their heads. The master of Tantra looked at the sky with tears in his eyes. He had never expected that Tantra would be destroyed by his own hands. Looks like the era is over. Lord Tantric Buddhism, you're old. Enjoy your remaining time. As for Tantric Buddhism, there's no need for it to exist anymore. On the side of the Azure Dragon Hall, an elder spoke after a long sigh. I know. The master of Tantric Buddhism nodded calmly. He then looked at all the members of Tantric Buddhism with a hint of reluctance in his eyes. Sir, we won't leave. Tantric Buddhism will not die. I live as a member of Tantric Buddhism and die as a ghost of Tantric Buddhism. If I want to disband Tantric Buddhism, I will die. Milord. A large number of voices came from the Tantric sect. Many of them had tears in their eyes and were reluctant to part. On the plains, the cultivators of the spirit state were silent. Seeing an ancient force that had been passed down for tens of millions of years suddenly disintegrate, they felt very bitter in their hearts. Alas, the times have changed. We can't change the rules of the gods. He couldn't bear to part with these old comrades of his, but what could he do? Wait, I don't think I fought. However, just as everyone was grieving, an untimely voice suddenly rang out. Everyone looked around and realized that the person who spoke was a blue-robed young man. He was Lin Ling, the one who had been groomed by the entire Tantric Buddhism sect but had disappointed everyone the most. At this moment, the eyes of the people from Tantric Buddhism turned red. They were so impulsive that they almost killed Lin Ling because Lin Ling had caused their deaths. Xian Zong clearly let out a sky-piercing laugh. Even Chang Qingzi was defeated. The beauty with the ultimate desolate physique also admitted defeat. What else could an 8th-level martial immortal do? Moreover, he actually wanted to fight. Could it be that he also wanted to warm up for fun? What did he take Tantric Buddhism for? There's an ingrate in Tantric Buddhism. Fortunately, this Lin Ling is not a member of our Xian Zong. Otherwise, we would have been killed by him. How famous was he in the past? Now, it seems like he only relied on the name of constellation clouds to strut around. Sounds of schadenfreude came from Xian Zong's side, but they were not in a hurry. They would slowly watch Tantra suffer. Lin Ling, how dare you speak? A burly man from Tantric Buddhism had a murderous look on his face. He could not help but attack. His large hand reached for Lin Ling. However, Lin Ling stood straight without fear. Instead, he looked calmly at Tantric Buddhism. I said that I would illuminate the spirit province. Yu and the others were shocked and they heard that. The corner of Sakra's mouth revealed a smile. Second brother, you've finally made your move. Tantric Buddhism frowned. Up until now, he did not know if he should trust Lin Ling. He could not help but look at constellation clouds because the latter was Lin Ling's master. However, constellation clouds smiled and nodded heavily. I brought him back. If he loses, I, constellation clouds, will pay with my life. This sentence was powerful and resonant. Tantric Buddhism was shocked when he heard that. He looked at Lin Ling, what did you say earlier? I will illuminate the spirit province. Lin Ling said word by word. His voice was not loud, but it was like thunder, shocking the entire spirit province. The man who attacked Lin Ling stopped his attack and looked at Lin Ling in disbelief. I have been in the spirit province for a long time, but my master is constellation clouds. Tantric Buddhism is my home. Tantric Buddhism once asked me to win this battle. Then, I will illuminate the spirit province. Lin Ling did not even look at that man. He looked at the entire spirit province. I will illuminate the spirit province. That voice reverberated endlessly, echoing in everyone's hearts. Fight, Lin Ling. Tantric Buddhism finally smiled. He did not know if Lin Ling could win, but he believed that Lin Ling could illuminate the spirit province. Lin Ling smiled faintly. He carried 2 swords on his back and walked out step by step. On the Xian sect's side, everyone was stunned. They did not expect Tantric Buddhism to place their hopes on a junior at the 8th stage of the martial immortal realm. Were they crazy? Ha! Deafening laughter soon came from the Xian sect. Laughter also came from the plains. Illuminate the spirit province. Their voices were heroic, but the reality was disappointing. Do you want to come at me together or one by one? However, Lin Ling did not seem to know what they were laughing about. He said calmly with his hands behind his back. His voice made everyone laugh even louder. The 5 people from Xian Zone were all the strongest geniuses. Even the weakest one was not someone Lin Ling could defeat, let alone all of them together. Let me. Finally, a genius from the Xian sect walked out. It was the genius that Meng Lu defeated. He tilted his head and looked at Lin Ling, 8th stage of the martial immortal realm. You may have been very powerful before, but in the past 3 months, the Xian sect has used up all their resources to nurture us. We are no longer the same as before. Times are changing. Make your move. Lin Ling did not waste any time and said calmly. Shameless boasting. The young man shouted coldly and unleashed his Jia Yuan. Although he was only at the 1st stage of the half-saint realm, he had a 2nd stage desolate body. Most importantly, his strength was not weaker than Dongmen Hong's. This was because he had used endless cultivation resources to accumulate powerful strength in the past 3 months. I am the North Sea Immortal Venerable. With the North Sea, I can shake the world. The young man attacked. The terrifying sea turned into a fist and surged forward. The spirit province instantly shook. This was the fusion of the power of cultivation level and the desolate body. At this moment, the people from the Tantric Buddhism sect frowned. Logically speaking, they did not think that Lin Ling could win. However, Lin Ling was their only hope. However, when their gazes fell on Lin Ling, they found that Lin Ling was indifferent with his hands behind his back. Rumble. The palm formed by the North Sea contained terrifying power and directly engulfed Lin Ling. Too weak. At this moment, Lin Ling's eyes finally flickered with a sharp light. He did not activate his Jia Yuan. Instead, he unleashed his physical strength and punched out. The moment he punched out, the spirit chi that had accumulated in his body was devoured in a grandiose manner. Boom! One punch, shattering the stars. The sea was blasted apart by the punch. The punch was like a meteor that pierced through the sea and landed on the young man's chest. Time instantly froze. No one dared to blink. They did not know what the result would be. When everything calmed down, people realized that Lin Ling was behind the North Sea Immortal Venerable with his hands behind his back. The North Sea Immortal Venerable was standing there with his palm in his hand. They did not know what had happened. If it weren't for the Tantric Buddhism sect, I would have killed you with one punch. Chapter 3108. One of the 100 Bloodlines, 100-Eyed Demon Lord. Boom! As soon as he finished speaking, the North Sea Immortal behind Lin Ling collapsed. One punch. It could destroy everything. Wow! There was an uproar in the ancient ruins. Although the North Sea Immortal was only slightly stronger than Lin Ling, he was still a sage-to-be expert. How could he be defeated by one punch? Moreover, this was because Lin Ling had given him face. Otherwise, he would have been killed with one punch. Next. Next. Lin Ling said indifferently with his hands behind his back. The experts of the Xian sect are all furious because they thought that Lin Ling would not be able to win in the end. However, Lin Ling was too arrogant. He actually dared to humiliate the Xian sect. In fact, although the people of the Vajrayana sect were relieved that Lin Ling had defeated the North Sea Immortal, they did not think that Lin Ling could win many rounds. The second person is by Nahan. He has a 4th-grade desolate body, the golden centipede divine body of the 100 Bloodlines. Next. Someone from the Vajrayana sect said solemnly. If it was before, they thought that Lin Ling would be able to defeat by Nahan because Lin Ling had defeated Dong Men Hong, who was the second peerless genius of the Vajrayana sect. However, in the past 3 months, the Xian sect had spent a lot of effort to nurture peerless geniuses. Those peerless geniuses were no longer the same as before. It could be said that even if Dong Men Hong was here, he would not be able to defeat by Nahan. A genius cannot be humiliated. What nonsense! Now that I'm here, do you want to defeat me with one punch? Bai Nahan said disdainfully. He was a little excited because his talent was not weak. However, he had no achievements before. Now, it was time for him to make a contribution. If he defeated Lin Ling, his name would definitely spread throughout the spirit state. The Xian sect would also pay more attention to him. Thinking of this, he was a little excited. I'll give you a chance. Kneel down and admit defeat because you can't defeat me with one punch. Why struggle? Bai Nahan said again. As expected of senior brother Bai. He looks very confident. Senior apprentice brother Bai is an unparalleled genius. It's a pity that his martial arts comprehension is a little weak. Otherwise, he would have been the second most exceptional genius in Xian Zong. Although his martial arts comprehension is a little weak, senior brother Bai's talent is one of a kind. He will definitely win. Over at Xian Zong's side, everyone's emotions had been ignited by Bai Nahan. Someone even waved at the experts of Tantric Buddhism, wanting to make a bet. The people of Tantric Buddhism had been holding their breaths for a long time, so they naturally nodded in agreement. From their point of view, even if they lost, they had to lose with dignity. Come on! Surprisingly, Xing Shiyun was the one who screamed the loudest. If Tantric Buddhism was about to be disintegrated, what else did he have to worry about? Hee, let's do it. Disciples, take out all the Emperor crystals you have. We'll win for sure. One of the 4 heavenly kings from Xian Zong sneered. He was Bai Nahan's master, so he was very clear about his disciples' strength. All right. The Xian Zong disciples immediately shouted. Even those who didn't have enough royal crystals had to gather enough. After all, this was a sure win. And those royal crystals were handed over to the Azure Dragon Hall for them to be the judges. This made the Azure Dragon Hall's saints a little jealous, and they almost wanted to make a bet. But because of their status, they all endured it. "Sigh, this is a sure win." One of the saints sighed and said. "Do you think I'm afraid of you?" Tantric Buddhism also went all out. They used all their wealth to gather everyone's royal crystals for a shocking bet. This made the warriors in the plains envious. They wanted to make a bet, but they were afraid of offending Tantric Buddhism, so they could only be anxious. Very interesting. Bai Nahan obviously wasn't in a hurry to make a move. When the bet started, he smiled slightly. "Lin Ling, right? Why don't you admit defeat?" "I've decided. I'll break one of your arms." Lin Ling ignored the voices around him and said indifferently. "You're really an idiot." Bai Nahan shook his head and finally decided to make a move. Desolate Body descended. 4th grade, Golden Ni Divine Body. Legend had it that the Golden Ni Divine Body was left behind by an Es god from the era of gods. He was called the 100-eyed Demon Lord. He wasn't strong, but his talent made the god suffer. Although Bai Nahan wasn't as strong as the 100-eyed Demon Lord, he could at least make warriors suffer. Bai Nahan's body exploded with a terrifying aura. His clothes were instantly torn apart, and a large number of eyes appeared on his body. These were golden eyes. Endless golden light shot out from the eyes. This caused countless eyes to appear in the sky. "Ah, my eyes." On the plains, someone curiously stared at Bai Nahan. Immediately, blood flowed out from his eyes, and he was completely blinded. "You're crazy. That's a 4th grade Desolate Body. How can you look at Senior Bai?" Someone reprimanded. "What a terrifying Desolate Body." Many people didn't dare to look at Bai Nahan as they spoke in fear. Golden light shone brightly as the 1,000 eyes shone brilliantly. Bai Nahan had already transformed into the 100-eyed Demon Lord. He had a disdainful smile on his face. The aura of a 4th grade Desolate Body was probably enough to make Lin Ling kneel down. "I've said it before. You're an idiot." When all the eyes opened, Bai Nahan didn't forget to softly say this sentence. Following that, he launched a mighty attack. However, everyone also thought that Lin Ling was an idiot. With Bai Nahan's current strength, he was probably invincible in the initial stage of the half-saint realm. How could Lin Ling fight him? At this moment, countless eyes shot towards Lin Ling like stars. The light rays were like needles that could destroy everything. Among them, Bai Nahan's finger shot out like a centipede's poison. Obviously, Bai Nahan wanted to defeat Lin Ling in one move. Looking at Lin Ling again, he still had his hands behind his back. He didn't move at all. It was as if he was affected by the endless eyes and was indifferent. Of course, everyone thought that Lin Ling was affected by the endless eyes and had lost the ability to fight. Sigh. Sighs could be heard from the crowd. No one thought that Lin Ling, who was only at the 8th stage of the martial immortal realm, could create a miracle. He's really an idiot. Even now, he's still not prepared to resist. Even the Azure Dragon Hall's saints shook their heads. Even if Lin Ling could really resist, it was already too late. Once Bai Nahan attacked, Lin Ling wouldn't have time to use any of his techniques. Illuminate the spirit province. The people of Xian Zone laughed mockingly in unison. However, at this moment, Lin Ling finally moved. In fact, his eyebrows only moved slightly. His hands were still behind his back. "I think that you're the idiot." Of course, he also spat out a sentence. Just as he finished speaking, a black shadow shot out from his left arm like lightning. Crackle. The black shadow was as fast as lightning and lashed out. Bang! There was a loud boom, and then the countless eyes in the sky all closed their eyes. There were even cries of pain. The endless light rays were also extremely chaotic at this moment. What's going on? Chapter 3109. I am a heaven-defying existence. In front of the youth, Nahan was tightly bound by the black vines. Even his mouth was covered by the vines. There was only shock in his eyes. Using your talent to fight me? If you're not an idiot, then what are you? Lin Ling said softly, although I don't need a punch to defeat you, I only need a whip. As soon as he finished speaking, the black vines whipped out like lightning. With a swoosh, blood spurted out. Nahan's right arm was broken by the whip. Black blood flowed out from the wound. Woo-woo. Nahan's mouth was covered by the vines. He could only let out muffled sounds. His eyes were about to pop out. As for the people from the Xian sect, their mouths were wide open. They did not know what had happened. Senior brother Bai had a grade 4 desolate body. Why couldn't he use his talent? Admit defeat. Nahan admits defeat. An expert found that the situation was not right, so he anxiously spoke. Hearing this, the Tsang Dragon Hall also hurriedly spoke, asking Lin Ling to release Nahan. The latter held his broken arm with a face full of fear. Nahan, why didn't you defeat him? After Nahan walked back, the people from the Xian sect complained. Now that they had admitted defeat, they had obviously lost a lot in the previous bet. Nahan was obviously very bitter. He did not know what to say. Speak. The Xian sect's 4 heavenly kings were furious. I don't know what kind of evil technique he used. With that whip, my talent was drawn out. Nahan did not dare to hide anything and quickly spoke. Silence. The Xian sect was silent. The distant plains were also deathly silent. Draw out his talent. Even a grade 4 desolate body was drawn out. This was too heaven-defying. Involuntarily, everyone looked at Lin Ling with eyes full of fear. What kind of vine is that? Even the 4 heavenly kings had extremely grave expressions. Lin Ling's methods could be said to be invincible. The more monstrous a genius was, the more ineffective it was against him. In the chaos of the universe, there is definitely no heaven-defying existence. That vine is so demonic, so it must have its flaws. Perhaps Lin Ling will have to expend a lot of his lifespan every time he uses it. Furthermore, this vine must have its limits. It might only be able to extract a 4th-grade desolate body. At this moment, the young man with the horsetail whisk spoke. I think so too. Zhang Qinghong nodded. She didn't expect Lin Ling to be so capable. Not bad, not bad. Nahan definitely followed the topic. He felt extremely humiliated. Originally, he should have won beautifully. However, he didn't even manage to touch a hair on Lin Ling's body. Instead, his arm was cut off by Lin Ling. It was as if Xian Zong had lost the bet. He didn't have the face to see anyone. Trash. Although Xian Zong agreed with Zhang Qinghong and the rest, he was still furious with Nahan. Let's see how your senior will defeat him. Mortal fairy, you go. Although Lin Ling's vine is strange, you don't rely on your talent. It's useless against you. A heavenly king said to a young man. All right. The young man with the horsetail whisk nodded immediately. At this moment, everyone in the tantric sect was laughing excitedly. They still didn't think that Lin Ling could win in the end. However, at least, Lin Ling had won 2 rounds for them. Even if the tantric sect was going to collapse in the future, they would still make Xian Zong suffer before that. Good disciple. Xing Xian was undoubtedly the most excited. He then looked at Lin Ling and said, Disciple, we won a lot of imperial crystals previously. A large portion of them belongs to you. Come over and we'll split the imperial crystals slowly. It seemed like he wanted Lin Ling to split the spoils. However, in reality, he wanted to let Lin Ling rest for a while. After all, he had fought 5 rounds in a row. If he didn't rest, it would be disadvantageous to Lin Ling. There's no need. Next. However, Lin Ling rejected him directly. He was even more anxious than Xian Zong to go to the next round. This made Xing Xian stomp his feet angrily. He was furious. At the same time, the young man with the horsetail whisk walked out. Lin Ling, there has never been a heaven-defying existence in the chaos of the universe. What do you think? Yes. After the young man walked out, he said calmly. The horsetail whisk in his hand made him look like an immortal. What are you trying to say? Yes. Lin Ling didn't even look at him. It was as if he didn't care about him at all. This made the young man frown. Lin Ling was too arrogant. Your black vine from before was very strange. However, I don't think it's invincible. There has never been a heaven-defying existence in the chaos of the universe. Do you agree with me? In fact, I've asked many geniuses in the 9 states. As long as they are true geniuses, they all agree. This is because the universe is vast and boundless. No matter how strong a cultivator is, they have to respect the gods. Yes. The young man looked at the sky and said. Thinking of the days when he was training in the 9 states, his heart was filled with reverence. Humans respect the heavens, and the heavens respect humans. His words made many people nod their heads. As the strength of the cultivators increased, they realized how powerful the gods were. On the contrary, some frogs at the bottom of the well thought that they could go against the heavens and surpass the heavens. It seems that the mortal fairy has a new understanding of the ultimate martial path. The 4 heavenly kings on the side of Xian Zong smiled and said. This was a realm that could only be comprehended by oneself and could not be explained by words. Only by respecting the heavens could one touch the great Tao of the universe. I am a heaven-defying existence. However, when everyone was sighing, Lin Ling also spoke and interrupted the mortal fairy's sighing. She was stunned for a moment and almost laughed out loud. You dare to say something like that? I am a heaven-defying existence. Lin Ling said again expressionlessly. The ghost genius Li Xiaoyao was a heaven-defying existence. Otherwise, he wouldn't be qualified to be called the ghost genius of the 9 states. Ha, ha, ha. The mortal fairy laughed even louder. Previously, she had taken Lin Ling seriously. Now, it seemed that Lin Ling was just as so. As long as one was a real genius, no one dared to say that he was a heaven-defying existence. Well, let me see how heaven-defying you are. You defeated 2 of my senior brothers with a punch and a whip. Now, are you still so confident? The mortal fairy snorted coldly. Hearing that, Lin Ling nodded calmly. Good, good, good. Let me see if you are still so confident. The mortal fairy waved the horsetail whisk in her hand gently. The 6 evils wind filled the air. It could blow away people's past and present lives, and blow away the Qian, Zhen, Can, Zhen, Break, and Lian evil wind. According to legend, this was the horsetail whisk of the 6 evils deity, which was a 6th grade ultimate weapon. It was placed in the 6 evils mountain of the underworld and blew it for 8 million years. It could extinguish the divine fire, blow away the heavenly water, and even move the world. It could blow the world from the east world to the west world. It could be called a divine item that could reverse the universe. Swoosh! The whole plane seemed to be overturned at this moment, which was an eye-opener for people. 1,000 changes. Lin Ling's eyes were calm as he stared at the rolling 6 evils wind. He also spat out a sentence. Then, he turned around and left for the constellation cloud. This time, the secret sect and the Xian sect were stunned. Facing the mortal fairy's 6 evils horsetail whisk, was Lin Ling going to admit defeat? Ha, ha, heaven-defying existence. After a moment of silence, someone from the Xian sect laughed loudly. They thought Lin Ling obviously admitted defeat and went to find his master for comfort. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.